Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Welcome
hello.
to another edition of Metalheads Unite. And if you've been following us for most of the week, you know we do have a special guest with us tonight. So
That's right.
Chris kept y'all lingering on Wednesday. He's just like, I still ain't telling
Nope.
him.
No, I did
I was
not.
like, wow. I was like, wow, he's still ain't gonna tell him. Okay.
Yep. Nope. I sure did not. Well, I mean, I posted it everywhere else, and if they aren't,
if you're not following us everywhere, then
yeah, if they
first
aren't,
off, we're why not? I mean,
right. So that's kind of what I'm saying. So I mean, all of our followers who are with us every week, they found out early, and if you just so happen to be a casual and you did check out the Metalhead Minute, you didn't find out who the guest is. You had to tune in right now. We can't give everything away, for crying out loud.
True.
What would be the point of that? Got to be some mystery in life. I did tell them we had a guest. What else did they need? 10 o'clock, we've got a guest. So just show up and find out who it is,
So I guess without further ado, we can bring them in. We're going to be talking with James Gates, bassist.
The beast of bass for Salem's Child.
Yeah. Salem's Child.
I like it. The beast of bass. I like it.
Beast of bass. I like it.
Hell yeah.
Let's bring him on. Hey, how's it going, James?
Hey, how you guys doing?
What is happening?
How was your evening?
You guys know how to make a guy feel like the prize in a box of Cracker Jacks, It's awesome.
We do our part. So.
We try we try to do a little bit of the build up we can. And the funny thing is I actually didn't know your little nickname there until earlier today, because I saw where you had given us a little bit of a shout out on your own Facebook page ahead of time, and talking about stirring up some trouble. And I actually tried to comment on the post, and I was a bit like, there's no trouble. There's no, you bring all the trouble you want. There's no censorship here. You don't have to worry about stifling yourself or anything. And
there's a blast.
Yeah. So, I mean, for some reason, it wouldn't let me comment on it, because I was going to, but I was actually over at your guys' Facebook page earlier today, and I saw that. I saw the Beast of Bass. I was like, that's a badass nickname. I like it.
See, there we go.
And we appreciate you guys. I don't know if it's who's doing. I don't know if it's Johnny or you or who it was, but whoever's forwarding everything and for advertising that stuff on your side, man, we appreciate that too. So
yeah,
it kind of has to work both ways.
Yeah, a lot of the social media ends up usually coming through me or Rob. And
okay.
I think you probably communicated with Rob in the process of setting this up. So yeah.
Maybe I can't remember. I just it's so crazy because all of you guys are kind of involved somehow or another. Because I know just the past couple of weeks when we did the last interview, Johnny was actually liking the interview and stuff. I was like, oh wow, Johnny, that's pretty cool.
We all try and stay involved, and you have to anymore. It's got to be a collaborative effort. Everybody pushing, as much as you can.
Yeah, I think
Chris has his little section that he does for the show, and I have my little section I do for the show, because if we don't, man, one of us can't reach out to everybody.
Yeah. We try to do the best we can to do the divide and conquer thing between the two of us. But I think probably half of your fan base also shared the announcement too. we kept which is awesome, but we kept getting notifications of so and so, liked it, so and so shared it, and I think we may have one of your guys' fans who commented on YouTube already. So Praetorian Art, I don't know who that is, but welcome to the show. We appreciate you. Thanks for following us on YouTube. And of course, my aunt is following us all the way out from Hawaii, like always. She said it's hard to find us on Facebook tonight, which is strange because we are there, but she's following us on YouTube, so we greatly appreciate that. So
that would be our buddy Pre, man. He's our road dog. I mean, he went on tour with us both times out with Doyle, and did a vast majority of the driving and worked the merch booth like nobody's business, man. So yeah,
nice, man. I mean, it takes a village. I mean,
it does, and we really have I think, the best fans that we could possibly ask for. They're active, they're engaged, they like to share things, so, we're really blessed in that respect.
And that's awesome because I mean, like I say, we were keeping up with everything during the weekend. It just because all sorts of people like it almost seemed like everybody in the band, like Jason said, like everybody in the band was sharing it. And then like, Midwest Metal Chicks is following us on Facebook right now, joining us in the chat. We appreciate you guys. They followed us on Facebook and all that good stuff. So I mean, we appreciate the outreach on your half. So I mean, we were trying to do everything we could on our half because I mean, obviously, the more eyes on the show, the better. And if both sides are helping out, it obviously is the best thing for both of us. So I think I think it's badass that you guys have got, and it's a great show of support that you have the fan base on your side who are chomping at the bit because. On your guys' Facebook page, I mean, you guys have been killing it on the interviews here lately. I mean, you've had quite a few going on. So
they've been coming fast and furious. It's been crazy this time out. Like I've never had this experience where, we've gotten messages from the label saying, hey, we've got, these 3 interviews next week asking for you, can you send somebody? And man, it's awesome. I love that, we're actually reaching people with this.
Yeah. Yeah. So we take it that obviously the reaction to the new album has been positive.
It's been incredible. We actually just found out this week that Through Fire, the single off the album, has actually cracked the top 100 on Billboard. So
damn,
just
man,
really crazy stuff.
Wow. Congratulations. Yeah, that's awesome.
And we ended up having the cover that's on the album. We did a cover of the Cults, She Sells Sanctuary.
Yeah.
And it debuted last Friday on the Corridor of Covers on XM Radio.
Yep, saw that. And then you guys just dropped the video today, right?
Yeah, we dropped a video for that song
today.
And, as a matter of fact, we're going to go out tomorrow and shoot a couple more. So, it's all busy.
So while we're talking about that, I just want to say that is a freaking awesome cover. Like y'all did that song very well, very good.
That was a lot of fun. That started off as just something that Johnny and Rob were doing for fun, and they demoed it out and played it for us one day at practice, and it was gold.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it really was.
I post somewhere about that, and somebody had actually mentioned, "Oh, they need to do Firewoman."
That was me. Oh, that was me. That was me. Yeah, I said that.
That would be a great cover. And honestly, we did Plowed from Sponge with the last cycle. And so it kind of fit the mold of what we were looking for because we look for those songs that kind of paint the background of your childhood, and you'll hear the hook and it'll come in and you're like, I know this song. I know this song. And by the time the chorus hits, your flashbacks with memories of riding in your mom or dad's back seat or whatnot, just jamming out to the radio. So, it's paid off really well, kind of that approach, because it's fun looking out over the crowd and just kind of seeing the wave of realization that, yeah, I know this thing come over them. It's really cool.
Yeah. Johnny's voice really worked really well trying to cover Ian Astbury there, because he's got one of those voices that's hard to replicate. And not that Johnny had to replicate it, because you guys actually put your own spin on the song anyway. So I mean, it wasn't a note for note cover, which is always kind of nice to see somebody take, put their own stamp on a song that's easily, like you said, is recognizable relatively quickly. Because I mean, as soon as I saw it at the end, I was like, that's got to be it. And because I saw it at the end of the track listing, it's like, that's got to be it. And as soon as before the first, before the guitars even kicked in, I heard the the opening. I was like, oh, yep, that's it. And then I was like, all right, let's see where they go with this. And then I was like, they did a phenomenal job. So
you see songs with like the same names or whatever, but I think that one kind of just like, yeah, that's kind of
right.
That's gotta be the cover.
Yeah. So,
you don't see many songs called She Sells Ain't She?
Not really. Because I mean, hell, it's hard to say if you say it too damn fast anyway. So
that is true.
It's hard not to say by the seashore at the end of it.
That is true. That's true. I always think that. I do. I always think it. Anyway.
For sure. How can you not? You know. But you know, that's really cool. I'm glad you guys picked up on that, because that's one of our favorite things. You know, if you're going to cover a song, you know, anybody can listen to the original, and if you want to cover a note for note original, that's great. You know, go play in a cover band. You know, but you know, if you're going to be an original act or whatnot, and you're going to, you know, kind of put your stamp on a cover, you know, you've got to do two things. You've got to really pay homage to the original and keep the central foundation of what's there.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to take it somewhere kind of new and interesting for the audience if you're going to do it, if it's worthwhile. Yeah, for sure.
You gotta do covers like the Dan Band.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Good Lord. I didn't think we would have that reference in here.
That was not on my bingo card tonight, guys.
That's probably the most unmetal reference we probably ever made.
Probably.
Well, that's right. You know, actually, the last interview that I was in, I probably spent about 10 minutes talking about King Crimson. So, you know.
Oh wow.
Well, okay. All right.
Well. That's pretty. We could let that.
All right.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Middle card intact still.
I would say that. But, so I guess I'll start out like with kind of how is the music scene there in your area of Indiana? Is it pretty booming? Because it seems like I might have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure we've interviewed a couple of bands from Indiana since we've done this thing. So it seems like it's becoming a popular locale for a lot of metal. So.
It kind of ebbs and flows, and right now we're in a really exciting time. There's probably about 5 or 6 bands that are really out there doing it. They're touring regionally or nationally, kind of under their own power, and there's a handful of bands recently, even in Indiana, that Pavement picked up. So, you know, it seems to be catching some momentum around here, and we've got a lot of bands that were around maybe 5 or 6 years ago that are kind of coming back into the mix, and, you know, getting the original lineup back together and doing things. So it's a lot of fun, man. And the nice thing is that this time around, it seems like everybody's really kind of pulling for each other. And that's something kind of in the past that we hadn't really seen around here. You know, a lot of times, you know, a band will start to take off or whatnot, and everybody's just kind of, you know, they're over that band at that point. And this time that doesn't seem to be happening. It seems to be really kind of picking up momentum for everybody, and everybody's kind of seeing that, you know, rising tide sort of lifts all ships, you know.
So you guys have been a band since like '96. So how would you describe the differences between that era and now with things like that?
Oh, it's vastly different. I think some of the central concepts of, you know, what the band is about and what we feel like are the same. But we've really kind of pushed the boundaries of what we're capable of doing with each successive release. And one of the goals for this band, and really for Rob and myself, having, you know, kind of been the two guys that have made it all the way through the last almost 30 years, is, you know, we really want to push ourselves and our abilities as musicians. And sometimes that's with more complex and technical things or whatnot, or we do like this time, you know, we really kind of challenged ourselves to put together something that was just really honest to God, straightforward metal, you know?
So I guess, like, I know you've probably gotten this question a million times, but what was the situation with being around for what's 7 years or so, and then kind of taking the hiatus. What kind of brought that? Was it just band members not clicking, or?
It was kind of one of those things where we had kind of flown too close to the sun at the time. I don't think that any of us were really at a point in our lives that we were ready for something like what's going on now to happen. And it was a vastly different time back in 2003, the end of 2003, when we kind of split, because you'd still hear about guys getting those nice record deals back in 2003, and folks would still keep calling, and you would sell physical copies of your merchandise and things like that. And now it's completely different. Everybody streams everything. Even the age of downloads is almost over, it feels like. I did hear at one point that Ford, in fact, was talking about putting CD players back in the new vehicles or whatnot. So maybe there's a resurgence of CDs.
Whoa, I hadn't heard that.
I don't know. It's one of those things that you read on the internet. I don't know if it's true or not, but if it is, man, I'm all for it, because, I always enjoyed having like the physical copy of something.
Same. Yeah, me too.
There's a whole experience. It's not just the music. You've got artwork in your hand that you can look at that kind of sets the tone for listening to the rest of the album. And, you've got liner notes. I mean, you ask, just about anybody who's, under 20 what a liner note is. And
yeah, they would have no idea. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but yeah, we just bought a new car like last year, and that was one of the things I asked. I said, "Dude, this thing don't have a CD player?" He's like, "No, none of our cars have CD player." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like why?" It's like, well, everybody just digitalizing downloads now. I'm like, "Yeah, but you do have people that would like to have a CD player. I mean, even if you only had like one on the lot, guess what? You would have sold it today. You know what I mean?"
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is true.
It's and no matter what it was, if at that point, I'd have been like, okay, that's the only one you have on the lot that's all electric. Okay, I guess I'll take it. You know what I mean? I would have probably took the CD player over everything else.
Right. Absolutely.
Just because I'm the same way. I like to like put it in, and like a CD player is different than downloading, because when you're listening to streaming and services or whatever, once you get through the album, it goes into something totally different than what you were listening to. And sometimes you get caught and you're just like, man, that don't sound the same. It's not.
It's a completely different band.
That does annoy the shit out of me. I hate that.
Yeah, it's like you start it back over or something, then it lets me know that, oh, okay, I heard that. But
yeah,
it's kind of interesting, because that's a lot, in a lot of cases, how bands like us reach new listeners is when you upload your videos and things like that. You can add tags for bands that you sound like or that you're similar to, and so that kind of goes into like the four audiences of X, whatever, and then that goes into a pool of videos or audio or whatnot that'll play after that band. So
that's true. Yeah. That just goes.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was just about to say, it's one of those things that we were talking about before we went on the air, where it's like, it would be nice if you didn't have to, if you didn't feel like you had to have Spotify to add to your catalog for outreach, because I mean, I do enjoy Spotify. We've talked about it before. We do enjoy it, but what you guys get out of it is an absolute disgrace. But I mean, it is. Right? Yeah. If you get paid at all, I mean, it's an absolute disgrace. But in this day and age, you got to have it, and even we do. Even we have to have it, because we don't have any original music of our own. But I mean, we do have the interviews, and one way that we get people to follow us and keep up with all of our interviews is we don't have the ability to go live there. There's a whole bunch of hoops you have to jump through. But once, yeah, that's true.
Right.
But after the fact, we upload it, and we put it there. We just uploaded our last interview, so that's there now. All of our other interviews are there. So I mean, it's just another set of eyes and ears. But I mean, for someone like you guys and all the bands we've interviewed, it's a joke, really. I mean, what you guys get out of it monetarily, I mean, it's just beyond ridiculous. But
The thing
again,
that pisses us off is like you see that, and then you see, oh, well, their earnings this year was $10 million. Why can't you pay people?
right? Yeah. Well, hell, if it was only, yeah, hell, yeah. Well, hell, if it was only $10 million, that's the thing. Is I mean, $10 million is nothing, but is not nothing. I meant to say, but that guy makes more than that, and that's the shitty part. He makes a lot more than that, and is just, I mean, dealing in decimal points as far as payouts is bullshit. But
because when you do stuff like that, you can put yourself on the payroll, so you get your money out before you get the release of what the company actually made. So his money's already probably come out of that, even though they say, "Oh, well, we made $10 million." Well, he's already got paid. So
yeah, but he's in a brilliant position because put yourself in the position of a band that's trying to get noticed. You're going to give him your content for free. I mean, you just want to use his vehicle to distribute your content because that seems to be what everybody uses, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to go to where the people are. And then you've got an industry that has kind of accepted that philosophy and baked into their calculations of how they project a band will do, or how worthwhile a band is by their streams on Spotify, by how many followers they have on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or any of those things. And all of these things are great and useful tools, and they're excellent for getting the word out when they're not being throttled.
Yep.
But it's people coming to shows, it's people buying merchandise or whatnot that actually keep the band alive. So in the industry right now, you've got this severe disconnect between what actually keeps the industry going versus what the industry uses as a metric.
And what pisses me off is the industry. They want to do all that, what you just talked about, in lieu of them doing any fucking legwork of their own. That's what pisses me off. Because bands that are signed to a label, and we've got bands, we've dealt with a couple of labels, and they are doing excellent work. We've got a couple of labels who have reached out to us, and they're sending us stuff. I mean, like, who are we? We're just a couple of dudes doing a podcast, and they're sending shit to us. So, I mean, they're sending stuff to us. We've got another label that follows us on our socials. They, so we like their stuff, they like our stuff, we follow them, they follow us. So we have a couple of labels that we're kind of de facto working with, and they're kind of helping us and sending work our way when we don't even put out music. All we're doing is trying to, get bands seen and heard. So it's kind of humbling, but we're not a band, and they're still doing that for us. So, but it's a good look for them because they're doing legwork outside of just, okay, this band has this many followers here and that many followers there. We're just going to let that do all the advertising for us. I think it's bullshit when a label won't take care of an artist and do the extra legwork. I mean, because all of the social media shit is on the band. That's the band doing that for themselves.
100%.
If a label takes you on, they're another layer on top of all the social media that a band already has. The band is taking care of their social media shit. We're taking care of ours. You guys are taking care of yours.
Oh, yeah.
So if you guys are on a label, they should be going above what you guys are already doing. They're supposed to have added connections that they can use to supplement the avenues you guys are already using. And it pisses me off when a label won't do that legwork. I mean, they'll be like, yeah, we have this band signed. Well, what do you do for them? I mean, we may be able to hook them up with a promoter, and that's not nothing. I'm not trying to discount that, but you're the label. I mean, do your shit. And, so I mean, and that's why I think the music industry in general has kind of gone to shit. But I mean, I think especially for our music, I think it's even worse. And you may or may not be able to attest to that.
Well, I mean, as a guy who ran an independent label for a couple of years with another project that I was involved with, we had like 5 bands signed with us. You know, it's really a confusing time about what a record label actually is, you know, and what they actually do. And I think we're really fortunate to be hooked in with Pavement right now because, like, those guys really understand kind of what's going on right now with the industry. I think, you know, they've done a whole lot with Plush or whatnot. That they've really kind of set a good template for what a modern promotion should look like. And I think it's doing really well for them. And you know, obviously, you know, they've got a great show that they put on. And Tim from Soil, he's our guy there at Pavement.
Oh, okay.
And he, you know, still being a touring musician and having, you know, his own side projects that he's kind of building up from this level as well. You know, he's really got a good insight as to what's really going on in the industry right now. And it seems like, you know, the XM radio thing and the radio push, and then the online, you know, podcasts and interviews and things like that, you know, as much of that as we can get, you know, we're going to grab onto, because that seems to reach people.
Yeah.
Used to reach people without actually being on the road.
I think we discussed this before when we were talking about that, and I think it's because if if you're talking about the '80s, I mean, like say Geffen Records, how many bands did Geffen probably have on their label? I mean, there's no way they could take time and push every band on that label.
No, but if you can push Guns N' Roses and White Zombie really hard, you know,
yeah, you don't need other bands. But I mean, that's not fair to the other bands, though. But I'm just saying, like, I think if you keep the label, you know, semi-small, to where you have a handful of bands, 20, 25 bands, whatever. I mean, you can probably handle more than that, depending on how many people you got working for you, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, if you keep somewhere in that realm, I think you have a good chance of pushing every band to their, to the same level.
Yeah, they're definitely. Yeah, you definitely got to have some sort of employee to band ratio, because because like Nuclear Blast, I mean, they do a hell of a good job. And you know, the one label that I was telling you about, Scarlet Records, I mean, they've been sending us a lot of stuff, and Affiant Records, they've been working with us. But what I like is, and I know I was talking shit about labels in general a little bit ago, but you know, obviously there's exceptions to everything. So I mean, I'm not throwing everybody under the bus. I'm just speaking in general terms, and I'm more speaking kind of more towards what Jason was talking about. You know, what I seem to notice here lately is a lot of these labels that we're talking about specifically, and like the one you're just talking about, James, they have people who are music people running, if you get what I mean. People who, because you got a guy, like you said, you got a guy who's in a band already. So he's on one side, he's playing both sides, because he knows, all right, I've been doing this and I know what I've been through, because Soil has been around quite a while. So Soil's been through some shit. So he's like, all right, this is what I've been through. This is what I've seen, what I've gone through, what I would have liked to have gone through. So now that I'm running things, because I can lean on my own experiences. And it seems like a lot of these quote unquote up and coming labels, you know, the ones that haven't been around for decades upon decades, they seem to be run by people who, for one, give a shit. That helps. And two, have had skin in the game already from one side. And now they're able to put their experiences on the other side and help other bands out, which obviously is what we all want, this little symbiotic relationship, so we can all move forward together, no matter what label you're on.
For sure. And you know, ultimately, I think increasingly, like, what label you're on really doesn't make as much difference as how much work you're willing to put in.
That's true. That's part of it. Yeah.
I think going back to your kind of like employee to band, you know, ratios, you know, one of the things that you've got to consider is you've got bands that have been out there doing it, and they know the business, and they know, you know, they know that work or whatnot. All you have to do really is promote the hell out of them and push them out on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got bands like us that are kind of coming up through the ranks, and you know, there is a little bit more attention that you've got to kind of pay to those guys. And if you've got 5 bands in a year, say, that you sign to promote, you're probably going to have 1, maybe 2 of those bands that are really in there to put in the work and do it. And that's not an indictment on, you know, any of the other bands that, you know, we share a label with or we've shared stages with in the past or whatnot. I'm just saying that, you know, really, you know, if you've got, you know, 2 or 3 up and coming bands on your label that are really working, are really going out on tour and pushing new material and really staying in the market and keeping things moving, then you've got to pay that much more attention to those 3 bands.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's where all the work is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
as a band, if I was in a band and I would say I was coming into pavement music and you guys were like top of the game at the time, like come in or whatever, I feel like I would want to be putting myself in a position to where, okay, they're the big guys. I want to get myself on a tour with those guys. So I want to push myself up where pavement's like, oh, we can put you with these guys because, you know, you seem like you want it. So, you know, and I kind of get that. So.
For sure, and I've seen that happen. There's been a couple of our fellow pavement bands actually that have gone on tour in the last year with Soil. You know, so Tim's taken those guys out on the road with them or whatnot, and there was actually one of the bands I think just went on tour in Europe with them. So yeah, they're doing great, absolute great work out there. I think
that's one of the things. I know, like Metallica gets a lot of shit for a lot of things, but I think that's what they're kind of doing good right now is like they're taking bands that, you know, are semi-known, you know what I mean? But they're taking them and they're pushing them up to like that. Because I mean, Ice Nine Kills is still touring with them. It's kind of like, you know, I don't know how many people knew who Ice Nine Kills was before they was touring with Metallica. I mean, I did, but I know a lot of people probably didn't.
Yeah, I did. I mean, we both.
A lot more people know who they are now.
Exactly. Because, you know, just like Megadeth, you know, they take out, you know, of course they have the tours where they take out, you know, like that one year they took out Lamb of God, Trivium, and In Flames. So it kind of was a, you know, everybody knew those bands. It was kind of like, you know, put this big metal tour on, you know. But that was after COVID, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, hey, let's put this big ass tour on so people can just lose their shit because they've been locked up for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that was
we did
trying to tour too, man.
Oh yeah, I love that tour, dude. Like that, like I don't know if that one or the Bass Strikes Back is like those two are like 2 of my top 2 favorites right now. So
that's a toss up. Well, I will say that the Bass Strikes Back tour, that's the first tour I've gone to 2 shows on the same tour. I've never gone to multiple shows on the same tour before until that one. Not that I wouldn't, but you know, things never worked out until that one. But yeah,
well, it was good because we got to see them twice with 2 different set lists. So
that's also
pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, that's true.
That makes it all worth it.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. So I guess we'll swing back here a little bit. So kind of what got you guys back into say, okay, let's do this Salem's Child thing again. Let's get this thing ramped back up and let's go gung ho this time. So.
Okay, so almost 10 years ago now, Rob approached the lineup that was Salem's Child back in 2003, at the end of 2003. And he was like, you know, it's been 10 years. Let's do a show. You know, we had all had our own projects going. And so what we did was we got all those projects together to open the show, and then Salem's Child played at the very end. And so, that was kind of like the big 10-year anniversary thing. And then that kind of got Rob and I talking again. And we started talking about, some of the material that was on the last album that we did that was not released. And we wanted to take, 4 or 5 of those songs and maybe 1 or 2 that we would, 1 or 2 new riffs that he had come up with that we were going to kind of flesh out. And we were going to put together an EP and put it out and maybe do a couple of shows. So we grabbed Scott, who was a drummer that I'd played with for a couple of years in a band called Shunned out of Fort Wayne. And he also did some demo work back, 2005, 2006 with Rob. So we all knew each other. And we picked up a guy named Dustin, who had actually filled in for us back in the late 90s to come sing. And we put together the Paradise Lost EP, which was the very first thing that we did, in this kind of configuration of the band. And, then, from that point on, the couple of shows ended up becoming a couple more, And then we start writing new music in the room, and all of a sudden we've got The Sin That Saves You a few years later. And, it caught up with Pavement at that point in time. And then all of a sudden the world decided to shut down.
Oh, yeah, of all the shitty timing. Yeah.
Yeah, we
God, man.
We signed with Pavement in the spring of 20, and it was like maybe 3-4 weeks or so before everything just shut down. And we had just gotten our release date, back from Sony, and they said, it's like late October, the third weekend in October, and we were like, great, right around Christmas, right around Halloween, kind of Christmas for us, I guess. But right around Halloween, we'd throw this big Halloween banger or whatnot, Salem's Child dropping this album with Pavement on Halloween, and there was no touring for like 2 years.
Jesus Christ.
So what do you do? As soon as touring was available again, we got right back on it and got ourselves in shape and went on the road with Doyle from the Misfits.
Mm-hmm.
And, those guys, wow, what an amazing band for us to get hooked up with. A lot of people think, Misfits, so it's going to be horror punk or whatnot, but Doyle's really got this great, like, groove oriented metal thing going on that he's doing with the Cancer Slug frontman, Alex Story.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, just, man, those guys are just fantastic. They're veterans, they've been there, they've seen it all, they've done it all, nothing impresses them. So, just kind of, but I mean, but you learn, you learn by, watching what they do and doing what they do, kind of, putting yourself, 5 or 6 steps ahead of where you were when you started the tour, just by observing what the pros actually do,
And that kind of experience is probably, priceless, especially coming from a band who's been around, like you say, has been around forever. I mean, the Misfits have been together for, I don't even know how the hell long they've been together. This has been a long goddamn time. So just to be able to, I mean, like I say, just even if you're just like watching the day-to-day shit that they go through, if you don't know how much time you got to spend with them, but I mean, being on the road, I'm sure you saw a lot of, all right, this is what we eat. This is how we warm up. I mean, there's no telling. I mean, just all these little details you could probably glean from a band like that.
Man, for a guy like me, everything's kind of like force of habit. I get into a rhythm, and I try and start my day more or less the same way every day, and kind of go through, the steps to, keep everything in order. I don't know. It's just kind of how my brain works, but on tour, it seems to work that way too. So, Usually, you show up, you arrive about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, drag all your gear in. Doyle was doing sound check from like 3 to 4:30 or whatnot. Then it was our turn. And then after that, we go figure out a place to eat or something to do between then and whenever your set time is. At that point, it's the 45 minutes of the day that makes it all worth it, right?
Or if you're Doyle, you spend those 2 hours doing crunches in the bed.
Or push-ups or something. Jesus Christ,
man, that guy would work out before every show, man. He is dedicated, and he's, for a guy his age to have that kind of a body, man, like,
oh, it's nuts.
He is impressive. He is just an impressive human being.
Yeah, well, it doesn't hurt that he's got a. What's that?
So that's how you get women like Alyssa. Like
right. That's how you end up with. Yeah, it doesn't help having a vegan girlfriend. So.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, she's in shape too, though. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure they probably do routines together.
Oh, probably. I'm sure, but.
Yeah, but and he's serious about it, man. Like, he makes his own equipment and stuff like that, and brings it out with him. And
oh wow. Okay.
Well, I mean, he he and his brother Jerry like run the metal shop in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So any kind of metal work or whatnot, he's on it.
No, he got his hands in everything.
Yeah.
Everything metal anyway, which is definitely not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all.
I was kind of upset that I couldn't go back and through Spotify they only have the 2 albums there. They only have the Seven Saves You, of course, Unbound. They don't have anything else there. So it's kind of like I was like, man, I really wish I could go back and listen to those EPs and see like the difference, because I like comparisons, but.
I believe that the Paradise EP is on our Bandcamp site.
Actually, Paradise Lost is on Spotify. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, okay.
Is it?
I
just found it. I didn't see it this week either, and I actually just found it too while he was talking.
What is
a little?
Something? I bet that's. But I didn't even look at the single EPs.
But yeah, it's there. I just found it myself, so I'm gonna go back and listen to it too. But
see, there you go. I gave you guys some new music to listen to.
Shit, I'm all about it.
Yeah,
and speaking of new music, you talk about some music that was unreleased. So was there still some music floating around that hasn't seen the light of day, or did it finally make it onto a release?
Some of the music from back in 2004 is still kind of out there in the ether.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll ever find a place. We've kind of moved off in some other directions.
20 years will do that. So
you'll have that. But what we do have is like we started the process for Unbound with like 23, 24 demos, like fully formed songs that we had to, kind of pick and choose the best 8 or 9 from. And, that ended up being Unbound. But it wasn't because those songs weren't as good. It was just that they didn't necessarily all go together. You know what I mean? So, like, for example, there's one song, it's almost a 12-minute song. But it's almost like a metal symphony in like 2.5, 3 movements,
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And everybody in the band is a huge fan of this song. And it's one of the demos that I still like regularly have in my rotation just because it's a badass song. And I think it's really going to rip people's head off, when we finally get there. But the 12-minute song didn't have a place on this album. And that particular song doesn't have the same feel that kind of ties the songs on Unbound together.
No, but that makes total sense.
plenty of music still out there, plenty of music for us to still put out in the future. So
I was about to say you only put 33% of it on the album, because I mean you had 8 original tracks plus the plus the cover. So I mean, yeah, you guys had potentially 2 more albums you're sitting on already.
Well, we've got an arsenal, and we just recently brought in a new guitar player in Mark, and I'm really interested to see, kind of the creative elements that he brings to the table. Because every time we bring somebody new into the band, there's like that breath of fresh air that just revitalizes the creative process, right? And especially with it being another guitar player and Rob kind of being our primary riffmeister, seeing how those two kind of push and pull, with each other is going to be really interesting. And I think it's going to add a whole nother element to what we're doing.
It's going to be looking for some Salem's Child lost tapes at some
Yeah.
Many years down the road when we all finally hang it up or develop arthritis too severe to keep playing.
Yeah, do your own. What is it, like Garage Days revisited or some shit like that?
There we go. Do a full album of covers.
Yeah. Oh, don't let our buddy Dana hear that.
No,
do a whole album full of covers.
I know there's a whole bunch of people that are like really for that kind of thing or really against it, but yeah, I'm not ready to be in a cover band yet.
Oh, I've got nothing. I've got nothing against covers. I know we already talked about it. I don't mind like a note for note, cover if it's done well, but putting your own spin on it is all the better. So I mean, either way, as long as they're done well, it's fine. But I've got nothing against a good cover. Far from it. Yeah, but yeah, you don't want that to be your bread and butter, So you don't want to fall into that trap.
No, but it is an interesting device, especially when you're on tour.
Yeah,
because you can throw that sucker in third or fourth song in, and you've got the audience hooked for the rest of the set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, speaking of tours, you guys have got a tour coming up with a band that I've definitely heard of. I don't know if Jason has ever heard of them, but Pissing Razors. You guys have got a tour coming up with them. And obviously you guys did a song on the album and a video. So tell us about how that relationship came about.
Well, Johnny has known Joe from Pissing Razors for I don't even want to speculate how many years, but they were in the Navy together many moons ago. So they were in the Navy together, so that's kind of their connection. They knew each other, and I guess like had played music with each other in the Navy for a while. So that that was really cool. And Johnny had spent quite a bit of time down in Texas, so I'm sure that he hung out with those guys quite a bit. And when the opportunity came up to have somebody do a feature on this album, his name was the first one on the list. Easy.
Oh, I'm sure he's like, yeah, I got a guy. I know a guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, they did the kind of file sharing thing, and he recorded down there and transferred the files up here. But then we brought him up to shoot the video with us and do kind of like the final production on the album, on the song there with us. So it was really an exciting kind of adventure to get to hang out with him for a couple of days and see what he was about. And I'm super looking forward to the tour in October. We're going to go down to Texas for their Dirty 30. Nice. I want to say, and don't hold me to this, I want to say it's like October 11th through the 19th or something like that. We're going to go all the way through Texas. I think there's a date in Oklahoma City, and we just confirmed a date for the 13th, I think, in Wichita, Kansas. So, it's really kind of like a mini South Midwest type deal. Home for the holidays, and then we're off in January for a full U.S. run.
Oh, so where's that run going? I mean, like who's on that one? If you can even say, because I mean, we don't want to put you on the spot and divulge information. So
it hasn't been officially announced. Like all the dates haven't officially been announced.
Okay.
But like 8 or so of the shows have been announced. There's events on Facebook and things like that.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we don't want to get you in trouble. So
well, I don't want to get in trouble, man.
Yeah. So no. Don't do that.
This is one that I don't want to mess up.
Yeah, don't do that. So
but if you're kind of savvy, just kind of look, somewhere between like January 8th and the end of February for us to be on the road. And I'm sure that you'll be able to find a few events on Facebook that might give you a clue who we're doing fun with. So, yeah.
So I guess you could say that them meeting in the Navy kind of anchored their relationship.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
How? Man, I didn't know I was in for like dad jokes weren't on my bingo card either, man. Love that. But see, that's another thing. You got to have great dad jokes if you're going to be in a metal band.
Yeah.
It's one of the rules, man. It really is.
And
it's a curse and a blessing, I guess, in the same time. Sometimes.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, well, we both are dads, so I mean, it comes with the territories.
Well, my problem is I don't like my conscience doesn't read the room sometimes, so I'm kind of like shit. I probably shouldn't be saying because I'm just vocal like that and just saying,
well, that's the best time.
Well, I was just told,
you're like making like sexual gestures or something because they said something, and you look down and see a kid like.
What did I say? Did you clip that together? But no, I was told like, almost an hour ago that pretty much anything goes, right? So
it does. Oh yeah. It absolutely does. Yeah. Yeah. No, there's no holds barred here. So what, so once the US tour is finalized and everything, we'll get that. We'll get that shared also. We'll share it on we'll share it on our social media, and we'll mention it on our Hitting the Road segment too. If we ever get back to our classic format, we've been having so many bands on, which is a fantastic thing. But our classic format with our Hitting the Road segment, where we do our tour announcements, is kind of taking a little bit of a back seat to this. But we'll take that. But so when the announcement's formally made, we'll get that out there for you guys too. So
I do remember seeing on your post with the review for the album that you were looking for a date somewhere around Tennessee. I do know that there is a Knoxville show on
nice.
the January tour. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. We've driven in Knoxville for a show before. So Concourse, maybe the Mill and Mine. What else is out that way? Shit. Well, we know that the Brickyard Bar and Grill isn't open anymore, so that's off the table. They closed.
No,
did they really?
Yeah, you don't remember us talking about that?
No.
Yeah, they did. They closed. Yeah,
I wish I could remember the name of it.
Yesterday,
They just announced it this week.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. There's a few venues we know about that way. So I'm sure it'll be one of them. But now I'll get to your guys' band in just a second. But while you were talking about the how you guys ended up hooking up with Pissing Razors, I always, and like I say, I'll ask you this in a minute about your band. But I was looking this up. I always like to know how a band came up with their name. So on on Pissing Razor's page on Encyclopedia Metallum, this is too good not to share, and it's on the internet. So I'm not divulging any information that isn't already out there.
It's got to be real.
Yeah, Pissing Razors, according to Encyclopedia Metallum, got their name from an incident in which Loco Pelon, the original vocalist, came back from a brothel in Mexico with gonorrhea and said it felt like pissing razors, and a band was born. So I never knew that story until just now.
Well, they probably couldn't use gonorrhea. It was probably already used.
Yeah, it probably was, but so
yeah.
So, but that being, that story being told. So tell us, I mean, how did the band name come about?
Do you want the official story or the real story?
Which is the better story?
They're both terrible stories, but
Okay.
the real story, and I'll give you, I'll clue you into the real story. The real story is like in the original configuration of the band back in like 1996. I was the rhythm guitar player. Rob was the main guitar player. We had a guy who sang and played bass and a drummer. And so our bass player slash singer had a spot where we practiced all the time. And it came down to that discussion that every band has eventually of, what are we going to call ourselves? And we probably had 15 or 20 really awful ideas. Really awful ideas. And then in the room comes the bassist's cat, Salem.
Okay.
From dragging a toy.
Okay.
Not from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I don't.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
I know where you're going.
Okay. That's where I was going. Yeah.
But I mean, I think everybody's had a black cat named Salem at some point, right?
Well, that's true. That is true.
But and I'm not 100% clear on the details of how we ended up with Childe with an E on the end, other than it's basically the word for progeny of some sort.
Okay. Okay.
So whether it's actual children or something that you've created or some output of, unofficially we could be named after a cat's turd, or or it's just a couple of guys standing around in a jam room with a cat trying to make sense of it all.
Okay.
We just came up with a name, and it stuck. And at this point, 30 years in, we're kind of too far in to change it.
Yeah, it would be a little too far to change course now. Yeah,
it's gotta be an album cover now, dude. Like you have like an apocalyptic album cover with the cat just shitting in the middle of it.
Well, actually, the very, very first recording that we ever did, my old college roommate actually recorded us down at IU at the studios in IU. And we put out this record with this image that I found on the internet of a guy literally bent over with his head up his ass. And we called it Into the Shadows.
Oh my God. I love it.
Yeah. If I can find my copy of it, and it's probably buried somewhere in the archives somewhere. We're talking like 98, 99, something like that. Just one of those like little slim jewel cases with a CDR in there.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Like one page insert that was more or less handwritten and then photocopied. As far as any of the liner notes and anything like that goes. And then, of course, this beautiful image of a guy in like this greenish, like pea green bathroom making a bass clef out of himself.
The old rectal cranial inversion, as my dad used to say.
Yeah. So yeah, there's been some amusing little tidbits. I don't know how I got to that point of disclosure, but here we are.
It's you'd be surprised at how, like I say, we just kind of just sit back and just kind of hang out and just talk music. You'd be surprised where some of the roads have gone in some of these interviews over the last couple of years. You'd be surprised as how some of the detours we've taken. But you were talking about, like, because the band originally started in '96, and you were talking about that album, that little CD cover taking place in '98. So were you still in school when the band started? Talking about IU.
Yeah. I was still at Purdue until like the summer of '98, and
okay.
My roommate or my former roommate at the time, I had lived with him my freshman and sophomore year when we were kind of like in the dorms.
Okay.
Together. So
okay.
It was pretty intense. So you form some pretty close relationships with the guys that you are pretty much living on top of.
Right. Yeah.
But he ended up leaving Purdue and starting audio engineering in IU. And then after he and I both graduated, we sort of, pooled our resources and put together a live production company or whatnot, where we'd go out and we'd run sound for bands and things like that, which was really convenient because I had a band that I needed sound run for.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Self-serving project. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And if you can make some money on the side from some of these other bands doing it, then, why not?
Well, and you're making connections at the same time. So, I mean, you're networking and, you had all sorts of irons in the fire, and it was all working out. So that's good. Yeah.
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 I thought looking at you guys' bio on Pavement really like caught me when I was reading like the influences. I said, man, those influences are like just like really like you would not think that would be like the influences. Like, and I mean, you can correct me if any of that's wrong, but they were listed bands like Machine Head, Tool, Sabotage, and Lamb of God, and I'm just like, yeah, those are like four totally different type of bands. So
Absolutely.
it's definitely a good variety, I think, of kind of what kind of where you guys kind of got a unique kind of sound from, probably. So,
but we've got some very, very diverse influences, but there are a couple of things that we all sort of land together on. Like back in the beginning, back in the '90s, when Rob and I were primarily writing songs on guitar, it was the kind of goal at the time was like a Sabotage type feel, because he's really a huge fan of Chris's guitar work and really enamored by that kind of like soloing style, like the Alex Skolnick, Chris Oliva type, soloing, like really kind of like virtuoso type soloing, but still rooted in that melodic foundation. And when I transitioned to becoming a bass player, say transition, you got to be careful about that these days. But but it really almost kind of is. When you're moving from the guitar to the bass, a lot of people will look at it and say, well, you're just dropping a couple of strings, but you're changing your whole mindset. I mean, you're really kind of approaching your music from a completely different angle. And so I decided pretty early on in the process that I had no clue what I was doing as a bass player. I could play the rhythm guitar parts on the bass just fine, and it was okay, but I wasn't adding anything musically to the mix by doing that. So I decided I was going to try and look for some really challenging bass parts to learn to learn. And I ended up sitting down for about 2 months and doing nothing but learning the first 3 Tool albums. So that's where the Tool influence comes from. And I really think, like Scott's got a really big like Lamb of God influence. And you can kind of hear that in his feet more than anything.
The drums are insane. They're absolutely insane.
He is far and away one of the best drummers that I know of in this whole region. He's just incredible. He's a fantastic human being to boot. So we got really lucky with him. But like Johnny's influences are all over the place. I mean, like bands like Pissing Razors are influences on him, but it's wild and varied, what he can go back into doing. And he'll just as soon rip off one of their songs as he'll bring something in from like a James Dio type feel. And a matter of fact, when he and Rob came to us and said, well, we did She Sells Sanctuary, I was like, no, not that voice. I mean, that's one of those voices that you just know. When
absolutely.
That's Ian.
Yeah.
But no, Johnny just nailed it. He's so versatile. And that was one of the things that he really hadn't gotten to explore prior to joining the band. A lot of the stuff that he had done was like very, very like the Fry vocals and the screaming and the really aggressive stuff. And some of that translated over onto The Sin That Saves You, which I think vocally is a far more aggressive album than Unbound. But I think Unbound is a far more developed vocally album than Sin was. Johnny put in a lot of work. I mean, he's taken vocal coaching. He's really kind of like dedicated himself to improving his vocal range and the things that he can do. And I think he was really proud to be able to showcase some of that with this album. Unfortunately, being the member of the band that does the backup vocals live, that added a whole hell of a lot of responsibility to me. That's getting ready for this tour.
Yeah, vocally, I don't. I mean, I couldn't have actually summed that up any better. I 100% agree with everything you said, because that was one of the things I noticed when I was listening to going from the first album to the second. I was like, Johnny really cleaned it up, and I mean, he can go all the way to the top. I mean, I don't know exactly what note is at the top of his range. I don't know all that shit, but listening to it is like Jesus Christ, he can go way the hell up there, because it was, the other album was totally, well, not totally. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, but predominantly, The Sin That Saves You was predominantly, like you say, more of the screaming and the gutturals, and he still threw some of that in Unbound, but it did seem to me like, I don't want to say his vocal style matured. I don't want to say that, but because it makes it sound like he wasn't like, I don't want the implication to be that like he couldn't sing clean before this album, because he could, because he did. It was still there, but it almost seemed like it was kind of like you said, like a coming out party for him. Like this, I can do this. I've been able to do this the whole time, and it's just it was like the full spectrum of his vocal range. That was one of the things that stuck out to me, and one of the things, another kind of ironic, is Jason was just mentioning the influences, and this goes back to the song that you were talking about that you guys haven't released yet, the 12-minute song. It's like a symphony, like in three movements.
Oh yeah.
It's funny that Machine Head is mentioned as one of the influences, and you talked about that song, because Machine Head has done that multiple times on songs of theirs. They've got songs that are 8-9 minutes long that sound like 3 songs in one. So it kind of makes sense that would be an influence, because that's an element that Machine Head has done multiple times over the years.
Oh yeah.
Whether or not that was intentional or not, it makes sense to me.
And they do it well. They really do.
They really do.
Yeah.
I think when I was doing the review on this, I kind of mentioned Johnny's vocals as being one of those guys that could just make a minor tweak and just change the whole like tone of a song. And it's just like, you don't come across many guys that can do that. That's it's just amazing to me to hear that, because like you'll hear him like have the little rasp in this song, and then the next one is like you don't hear that. I'm just like, how does he like go from like that to that? It's just like wow to me. I don't know, like a lot of vocals I don't understand anyway, because like you can't understand shit Ozzy says, but he can sing like a and you're like, oh, okay, cool. It's
all in here.
So according to Bruce, it's all in the prompter.
Well, that's true.
Remember that?
That's true. But it's kind of it's impressive when you come across a vocalist that can do it all, because there are a handful of vocalists that can do that full kind of spectrum all the way across the board, can sing any style you want, male or female. Okay. But there's also a lot of bands that have to have two singers to do, like, you take that part and I'll take that part, and they have to have like a twin vocal attack to be able to do the things that singers like Johnny can just do by himself. And sometimes, and a lot of times in the same song.
Oh yes.
Go from like a guttural verse to a clean chorus, or vice versa, or whatever, and you just sit back and go, "Nah, that's just unbridled talent. That's all that is."
And he really is.
I think that's one of the things I was saying is like he could take that tweet and it turns it from, it goes from like thrash to hardcore.
He could sing you a ballad like straight
He
out
just-
of
it's like he can totally change the genre of metal. Like I've never heard that before. It's just like crazy how you can, musically you can hear that a lot, but vocally to do that, it's just like I'm just like, man, I could like hear this without the music and be like, yeah, I can hear this being like a thrash song, or and it's wild to do that.
I have no idea how he does that. I mean, I know his process in a lot of for a lot of these songs was he would come in and he would just kind of lay a vocal rhythm over the demos, just kind of like nonsense gibberish he'd throw at it, but it would have the vocal melody.
Like he would do like a bunch of da da das and stuff like that, just getting the cadence down.
Right, basically.
Okay.
And so, you almost have kind of like a syllable map to work with when you're trying to write lyrics that way. But he would come in and so he would have his own feel in the song as far as like what he was doing musically with his voice before the words were ever written, in a lot of cases. So that said, there are probably about 4 or 5 versions of a couple of these songs that, just like you were getting at, Jay, that he sings them a little differently and they sound completely different. Like the music's exactly the same. It's
Right.
vocals recorded over the same piece of music, but just because of the way Johnny approached the vocals, it sounds like a completely different song.
How much harder does that make? How much more difficult of a job does it make to pick a song when if you're writing 24 songs, but you have 5 versions potentially of every song? How much more difficult does it make it to narrow down all that shit?
It makes it extremely difficult.
Yeah.
The nice thing though was that I don't think any of us really kind of dug our heels in on songs that absolutely had to make the album, because we knew that we've got all of these great songs that aren't going to make the album. So you go through the first pass, and I think there was one day we sat down and we listened to like all of them and just really quick did kind of an up or down vote. And then the next week, the ones that everybody voted up for, those made, those 15 or so made the next listen through. And we kind of listed, pros and cons for, do we feel like it connects kind of with this other song, or do these songs sound too similar to be on the same album? This, that, or the other. And I think we were able to kind of talk through all of the songs to get to a batch of songs that we were like, okay, these are ready. They don't need any more work in the room. We don't need to kind of develop them any further. These are ready to go. And then from those, we had to decide which 8 or 9 sounded the best together. So it was a difficult process, but the fact that nobody was married to, having to have this song on this album, because we've got the eye towards the future, and making more albums, it became a very easy process in the end.
That's good. Well, and
Hey,
go ahead, JJ.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I was just like, while we're still talking about the vocals, I think one of my comparisons were Marcos Agueda from Death Angel, and then John Bush from Armored Saint. I kind of heard a little bit of that here and there in there too. So
I will totally take either one of those comparisons for sure. It's good company.
And like I said, it wasn't that he sounded exactly like either one of those guys. It was just the way that he flowed. Like he kind of like some of the flowing he did kind of reminded me of Mark with Death Angel, the way he flows into, kind of,
oh yeah,
he's like a build up, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and that's what you should do. You're building up to the chorus, but
sure.
It's just, it's just, that's where I kind of got that comparison from.
So
definitely hear some Bush-esque type bellows in there too. It's kind of
oh yeah, yeah. He like you said, he can do little tweaks and things like that and just take you to a completely different place. And that was,
it's
one of the guys that we were working with kind of in the last couple of years in the process of building Unbound. Um, he kind of really kept repeating to us that, the song, like whether it's one song or an entire album, it needs to take you somewhere. It needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It can't just be, random things thrown at a listener and hoping something sticks. You've got to give them something that they can sink their teeth into early on in the album and be connected to for the rest of the album. And, I feel like that we were able to really kind of accomplish that. And that was, kind of one of the reasons why, Johnny's, vocal maturity, as you said. And I think he'd probably be one of the first people to agree with that word, is that, he's really, brought his vocals up to that next level. I think that's why he felt like he needed to add those dynamics to these songs, make them a little bit more versatile, so that you've really got that kind of beginning, middle, and end feel. And if you go back and listen to the songs, I think with that in mind, you'll hear it like very clearly that there's sections to each song, and he really just kind of nails something a little bit different with each section to kind of draw you in.
Yeah, I didn't really see a timeline or anything. So when did Johnny actually join up with you guys?
Johnny joined the band while we were in the middle of recording The Sin That Saves You.
Okay.
So we had just finished up the music for it, and our singer at the time was getting ready to go in and lay down the vocals, and it was just one of those tough conversations that you've got to have with with a brother that you've known for many years. And fortunately, it was kind of the same feeling all the way around, that the musical direction the band was taking wasn't necessarily where his comfort zone was, or where
He didn't play to his strengths, I guess.
or where he felt maybe that he could thrive. And that was fine. And I'm still really good friends with Dustin, and he's still a very huge part of our family. So I mean, that was really great. We even did a couple of shows after Johnny joined the band, kind of with Dustin and him like in transition, or the two of them taking on one of the new songs together and things like that. So it was a lot of fun to do that, and we were really fortunate that transition was so smooth. But then Johnny comes in. We gave him, I want to say, about 2 months to get familiar with the songs, and then we threw him in front of a microphone in the studio, and basically made him stay there for a weekend. It was interesting because that time in the studio, he basically recorded, I'd say 80% of the album the first day. And then we came back in and we were listening to it, and he was just like, nope, we're going to do that one again. Nope, we're going to do that one again. Nope, I can do better on that one. And so we pretty much re-recorded the whole album the second day. But there were moments in there where, because it was myself, our producer John, and Rob in the room, kind of listening to Johnny at the time, and there were moments where we'd all just kind of look at ourselves and go, where was that guy yesterday? That guy is great. That guy is fantastic. Bring that guy on the album. And so we'd find another song and we'd just be like, no, he's got to redo that one. No, he's got to redo that one. So we kind of put Johnny through the ringer real quick. And fortunately, like, the dude is a consummate pro. He really is. And, he can adapt to just about any situation. So, we were really fortunate that he stayed on and just really just kind of knocks everything out of the park every night.
Another thing that I kind of it stood out for me was that drum lead in on that "Bleeding the Savior." I'm just like, Jesus Christ! I mean, that song, like, if you're not hooked by that point, then I don't know what the hell. So.
Yeah, that song's a lot of fun to play. I get to kind of shine a little bit as a bass player in that lead in too, and it's a lot of fun.
It's always the good thing about good drum parts. The bass has a big part of that. So
yes, it does. Yeah, it does.
And I will happily ride on Scooter's coattails all the
time. Oh shit! Well, definitely nothing wrong with that.
No, for sure.
All right, so I've been wanting to ask this the whole show because I went to the website and it's not there. Where the hell did you get that hockey jersey?
Oh my goodness. This is actually a prototype that we ordered of a future product that we may end up doing. I want to do it as kind of like a package, like a online pre-order package thing or whatnot, where we'll put these together, and it'll be slightly different from the one that I'm wearing. I kind of built this one up for myself. It's got the captain's patch on it.
Oh yeah.
And the 86, which is the eraser, which is something that I've carried on from different places throughout my life. And then I've kind of got my name on the back of it.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Yeah. So but the ones that we'll have available will have like this graphic on it. Probably like 25, because we'll probably do it at the beginning of the year while hockey season's in full swing.
Sure.
And it'll be kind of this same color scheme or whatnot. I have Salem's Child across the back and everything. So it'll be on offer soon.
Nice. Yeah. It's I collect hockey jerseys. I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan. So I've been a Wings fan my whole life. But I've got like 80 plus hockey jerseys in my closet. And as soon as I saw you wearing it, I was like, where the hell is that damn thing? So I like it. So I will.
Scott and I are Blackhawks fans. Can we still be friends?
That's fine. Yeah, okay. That's totally fine. We're not in the same.
If me and Chris can be friends, anybody can be friends, because he's a Michigan football fan and I'm a Notre Dame fan.
So. Yeah. So
well, at least you didn't say Ohio State.
No. Hell no. Hell no. So I mean, you got
the most beautiful towns that I've ever seen, like especially in the springtime. Ann Arbor is just gorgeous. I love that.
Yes, I mean, we can have Boilermakers, Hoosiers, and Wolverines all day long. Keep those Buckeyes out of here. So, but yeah, so we're Wings and Blackhawks. We're not in the same division anymore. We play each other twice a year now, so that's totally fine.
So we're all good.
Yeah, totally fine. But yeah, no, it's a cool looking jersey. I like it. So
thanks, man.
But yeah, so I mean, I'll more than likely buy one when they come out because I like the way it looks. So
I will make sure that I let you know.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, but and I was looking at the rest of the apparel. So. Shit, I had a question on something. Where the hell did it go? Hold on, bear with me for just a second, because I was looking at something. Where the hell did it go?
Shit, we're doing an interview here, and you're over here shopping. Like, what the hell, man?
I'm not shopping. I'm not shopping per se. I had a question about a design. Damn it! Hang on. I lost my spot. Hold on. I gotta work my way back.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, we're trying out a whole bunch of different items this time around. So it'll be interesting to see what lands on the merch table in October versus what's out there in January and February. I know we've got some hoodies coming. I just hope they get here in time.
Okay. All right.
I just bought we were doing shirts, and then the guy that I was going through, like, he increased stuff like super crazy. I'm just like, dude, I had to sell like my shirts for like $45 a piece to make anything out of it if I buy them from you. And I said, I'm a podcast. I'm not out there performing for anybody. Nobody's gonna pay $45 for this fucking shirt. So it's kind of like I had to make a choice. It's like, okay, do I spend $400 on a dozen shirts, or do I go out and just spend that $400 on my own equipment? So that's what I kind of did. I kind of went out and bought about $1,000 worth of presses and sublimation stuff. And
So are you doing film or are you doing direct to garment?
I'm doing direct to garment. Yeah. So.
Okay. See, that's kind of the route that my wife and I were looking at getting into.
Yeah. So I haven't printed one yet. I've just now gotten everything kind of set up because you gotta there's so many pieces to this. It's kind of like I don't want to fuck it up. So I'm kind of like going through the tutorial videos, going, okay, make sure that's set up right. Because I got like a cutter, and then I got the heat press is the easiest part to set up. You just plug it in and set it on something, and it heats up. So you gotta make sure your prints perfect, and then you gotta put it through the cutter thing, and then you got all these little tools to pick out the little eyes and stuff if you got that kind of thing going on. So it's a little bit time consuming, but like I said, it's still worth it to me to save in the long run because I can do this for just keep buying ink and whatever, and you're good to go. So
absolutely, but I mean those printers new can run you like $8-9 grand for the big ones, right?
Yeah, for stuff. Yeah, so I'm not doing anything crazy because it's just like I said, it's just us. So it's not like if I ever got up to where I was selling hundreds and hundreds of shirts, then I would have to get something, of course, bigger. But
right,
what I got now for if I sell 20 shirts a month, I mean I can handle that. So
yeah. Sounds
yeah,
good.
we're the stage we're at right now. We're to the point now where we're kind of like when somebody orders a shirt, we'll get orders together and then just make shirts for that batch of orders more likely until unless we, because we've got a podcasting expo we're going to next year. We'll probably, I'm assuming we would have a batch for that, but I don't know if we've really addressed how we're going to sell these things yet. So, because I know we have a
the old DIY in me really loves the idea of having my own printer or whatnot. That way we can do short runs of shirts with designs that we never use again. And that way you guarantee, if you're going to have it sit in place 2 or 3 times in a year, well, you're going to sell a shirt to this guy every time you land there because you've got this new.
I know it's a unique shirt that's never going to be seen again. So
there you go. And I've seen one of the tactics that I've seen used really well, especially in the slam and the metalcore communities or whatnot, is they'll put together packages or whatnot that are exclusive to 100 or 150 pieces or whatnot that they'll only sell online on a pre-sale basis. And as soon as the pre-sale hits 150, they pull the trigger on it and off it goes.
Yeah.
And only those people ever get it.
Yeah, that's cool that you create those limited edition runs like that. I like that. My question was, you guys only have shirts for the first album. You guys didn't do any for The Sin That Saves You?
I think there's 3 shirts up there from the Sin album. And we've got a shirt with the album art for Unbound.
I saw the album art for Unbound. I didn't see one for
I don't think there's an album art shirt.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We've got the eagle, the eagle design. I think there's a design that's similar to this one, and kind of the Baphomet design.
Yeah, those are the ones that I see. Yeah.
Those are the ones that are from the Sin runs.
Okay, I didn't know if there was one that was album art specific. Okay, so
not for that album. No.
I will say you guys have fantastic prices though. I mean, you guys are absolutely realistic in your prices. $20 to $25. That's fantastic. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a price point that a lot of people can live with, for a band shirt. Because I mean, a lot of times you'll go to concerts or whatnot, and you'll show up, and the headliner wants $45 for a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Not to knock your $45 price point over there that your guy was going to get you at, but $45 is just a ridiculous amount of money to pay for a T-shirt. I don't care. I don't care what band you're going to see.
Yeah. You guys have set a price range that I go to a show. I see that price range. I have absolutely no qualms about buying a shirt at that price range.
Well, at this point,
and
the goal is sustainability.
I may or may not have bought $45 shirts. I'll just keep my money.
I'm not saying I haven't bought $45 shirts. I've bought $100 hoodies. It's great. I'm a hoodie guy myself. I love.
What's crazy is I've been to shows where they're like, "Oh, this is $40 T-shirt," then you get the hoodie for $55. I'm just like, "Well, damn, I was just buy the damn hoodie."
You should at that point, yeah. And hell, man, you're wearing a hockey jersey. Those damn things aren't cheap. So
they aren't. To do just one of these was something like $70.
I'm sure
it was crazy.
I don't doubt it.
I mean, it's all sewn, it's all twill. So I mean,
it's nice, stuff. Man. It's a hell of a design, man. It's a hell of a design.
Now, but and I think we've got to get, I want to say like 15 or 20 pre-orders in order to hit the price point that we feel comfortable with.
Sure.
Because I don't want to go around charging somebody, $90 for a hockey jersey. Mm-hmm. I don't feel right about that, Yeah. I'd love to see it get down to around 70, 80 or something like that. And see
that would work for me. Yeah, that would.
That's like I remember like Non-Point did like the 361 baseball jerseys, and I think they were like 60. So I mean, that's
that's not bad either, though. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, their stuff's always usually good priced.
I've had a couple of hockey jerseys custom made before, and what did I pay? 95. I think I paid 95 for the last couple that I had, and then years and years ago, I had a Red Wing jersey customized. It's got my name and number, all that shit on the back. It was like $150, but it was a little bit heavier weight, so that kind of made sense. But yeah, a few years ago, I had a couple made, and I think they were less than 100. So they're out there. But yeah, I mean, if you get somewhere between, like you say, 60 for that baseball and like 80 for what you got on right there, I think that's a pretty good kind of wheelhouse price range.
Well, I mean, the way that I look at it is, I want to go to like the college apparel stores or whatnot. You go to campus, you go to the bookstore or whatnot. Mm-hmm. What are they What are they selling hockey jerseys for? What are they selling, baseball jerseys for? Or, whatever.
Well,
try and figure out a way to get your prices in that kind of range.
Yeah. Well, what pisses me off is when I go home to Ann Arbor and I go to the mall and I go to, I won't name the name of the store, but I go to the store at the mall and I look for a Michigan hockey jersey, because I've got about a half a dozen already, but they change designs every year, every other year, goddamn hockey jerseys. Of course, Michigan, they do maize, blue, and white, so they've got a set of 3 anyway. But when I go to one of the stores at the mall, Michigan's a Nike and Jordan brand school anyway. So when I go into the store, I'm looking at like 150. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I walk out. I don't pay 150, because the ones I have already, I did not pay anywhere near that for. So that kind of pisses me off when I go back home to Ann Arbor and I see that. So that pisses me off. So
yeah, I went looking on the Memphis Grizzlies site to try and find a Zach Edey jersey. I'm a Purdue grad, so
sure. Yeah.
Following my guys. I went looking there, and all they've got is kind of the printed on jerseys and things like that. It's not,
those are
authentic.
Those are garbage.
So I went and I looked at Purdue's website thinking, maybe they've got, they surely have to have some kind of overstock on this or whatnot. No way, man. The jerseys were just outrageous. $120, $130 for a college kid's jersey. I can't justify it.
It's just a damn tank top, man.
Right.
I mean, like I said, I've paid over $100 for a hockey jersey, but at least it's long sleeve, for Christ's sake. I mean, I'm not gonna pay triple digits for a fucking tank top.
I mean, Revocation only charged me $45 for one that had a picture of the devil dunking on Jesus on it.
Fucking posterizing.
Oh yeah.
It's the merch can get out of hand, and not just concert merch. We were just talking about all the sports merch. It's just some of these retailers they try to get their fans by the short hairs, and it's not. There's plenty of times. Well, yeah, right, and there's just been plenty of times where, like I said, I'm just not going to buy jersey or a t-shirt or whatever. It's like, I'm just not going to pay that. So sometimes you just got to make that decision. So they make the decision for you. It's like, if that's the price, I'm just walking out. I'm not doing it. So,
well, I mean, kind of on the other end of that though, I kind of go into it with the understanding that, touring now is so much more expensive than it was, even,
sure.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And like the travel costs are outrageous, and what people want for, renting spaces and things like that. And some bands out there, asking for, $15,000, $20,000 buy-ons for tours and things like that. It's just nuts. So, you've got to find a way to actually turn a profit. You're not making money selling records. You're not making money on downloads because like we said before, everybody's just streaming now. Mm-hmm. And you get a fraction of, a tenth of a cent for every stream.
Shit, that would be an improvement.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, so it's a really weird industry where you're not actually making your living off of your product, or off of the thing that you are there to produce.
Right.
So, kind of the running joke in the band is, we're just a bunch of traveling minstrels writing catchy jingles that sell t-shirts.
Yeah. Peddling wares.
That's right. But that's what pays the bills. That's what gets you down the road is the merch booth. So and that's one of the I think that's one of the reasons why we have such great fans is we always keep that in the forefront of our mind is that it's those people that keep us going.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are always very appreciative, and none of us will hesitate to stop and take a minute and take a beat and talk with somebody, or, get a picture with them, or, hang out with the kids or whatever. And, like this last tour or whatnot, Rob and I kind of looked at each other and said, there is no kid that's going to make it up in the first 3 rows that isn't leaving with something.
Oh, see, that's cool. Yeah.
So, that was kind of the mindset. I mean, you got to connect. You got to connect with people. You got to go be where they are.
Mm-hmm. And in the instance of like the kids that show up to the show, I mean, they're going to remember that shit and they're going to latch onto it.
Oh yeah.
They're absolutely going to latch onto it. Fuck, I'm in my mid 40s. And like, if I catch a pick or hell, I had Disturbed's drummer literally walk up and hand me a drumstick back in like 2008.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously I haven't been a kid in a long time, but I mean, if I catch a pick at a show, even now, I'm like, oh, so I mean, yes, I mean, for Christ's sakes, I mean, the kid, it's still the child in me, but, it's cool that you guys, don't lose sight of that because, there are some bands that do. Now, speaking of the merchant on the tour, have you guys ever come in and it rears its ugly head? And we've talked about it a lot of times on the show. You guys been had any venues give you a bunch of shit about this merch cut bullshit?
Oh yeah. It happens, and it seemed like it was kind of a West Coast thing there for a while, and then became an East Coast thing too, and now it's really starting to kind of worm its way through the Midwest.
Yeah, do you guys see yourself getting to a point where, because we've seen some bands do it before, it's like, hey, we'll be selling our shirts out back, out of our van. Is it, you guys ever see yourself getting to that point? Like if a venue wants 25-30% merge cuts or some shit like that?
I mean, if it came down to something, ridiculous like that, then yeah, we would probably just sell out of the back of the van. At that point, we'd put up all the stuff at the merch booth or whatnot, but we wouldn't sell anything in the building.
Yeah, because we've seen artists do that, but like we're not paying, we're not, no. So, and good for them, and good for, hopefully it doesn't come to that for you guys, but I mean, good for any artist that's done that.
I mean,
we talked to Jason McMasters from Dangerous Toys and said that stuff's been going on for years, but still, to me, it's like you're making more money off alcohol than these guys are going to make probably off selling merch. So
right, and
it's just to ask for part of the band. Like I don't get that.
And unless you're paying me and my band enough money to cover our time and get us down the road to the next stop, then you're not taking a cut of the vehicle that we've got to do just that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And especially if you guys are literally making your own shirts.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, it's like we made all this shit ourselves. We brought it. We set it up. You did nothing. We were already here. You guys invited us here to play the show. You guys knew we were coming.
And like you said earlier, you're bringing your own merch person most of the time too. So
yeah,
they're not having to come off of anything for that either. So.
No, they're not.
I don't know if Pre's still with us or whatnot, but he is a trooper, man. He is a road warrior for sure.
Well, it's good to have that.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely good to have that.
It's tough not to want to go up and find out what this dude's about if you were to see him out in a venue, because we're talking a 6'4", 6'5" guy, probably 250 pounds, just solid man, and wearing some kind of like punk rock concert shirt and a kilt.
Oh, okay. All right.
And he's back there.
Yeah, he is still here. He said they tried to scam us numerous times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
God, yeah, no.
He is a prime specimen of an individual, and we love that dude.
Because I was gonna say I couldn't see his when his name popped up in the chat. You really couldn't see his picture until Jason put it up on the screen there. So it's like whoa, shit. He looks like he could be on tour with Amon Amarth, for Christ's sake.
I'd like to put him there because I think he'd have a blast doing that.
That's the kind of guy you want, dude. Your merch though, because the venue's like, well, I'm taking this. Fucking hell, you say?
You're taking.
I can imagine that's probably how that conversation went too.
I would be that way too. I'm 6 foot and 270, so I'm not a small guy either. So I kind of. So I'm not 6'5" though. I'm not that empowering. So I'm still at high level with most people. So I'm just broad. So
yeah.
No, man. We're just like I said, and I can't say this enough. We've just been really, really blessed to have a great group of people just kind of gravitate towards this band, and it's been a lot of fun. And like guys like Pre there, who really their first direct involvement with the band, him and a buddy of his helped us with the Sin That Saves You video, which was cause which deals with an issue that's very near and dear to all of our hearts, and that is the issue of veteran suicide. And so we decided very early on in the process that we wanted to get their input and guidance on kind of some of the themes and things that we touched on in the video, and they were extremely helpful and very willing to kind of step in. And I Pre even did a lot of the video work. Like he held a camera and everything, just to kind of help us out. So like I said, we've got some of the greatest people in the world that have kind of gravitated towards the band and have formed a really tough knit group around us.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. Well, and in Pre's case, he's his own boom. He's his own boom mic camera thing anyway. So I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely. That's right.
Hey,
beard over there, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna make a 6'5" dude blush.
That wouldn't be the first time.
Well, probably not. So, well, Jason, speaking of which, do you want to ask?
Oh no,
what's that?
What do we always ask?
Oh no.
What do we always ask?
The stories?
Yeah. What do we always ask?
Oh, well, I was getting ready to talk about the artwork.
Okay, well, we can do that. All right.
We were talking about the t-shirts,
and
we was talking about the t-shirts, and I said, "Oh, while you're talking, I'll just pull up the artwork."
Oh,
I had
all right, let's do that first.
Other stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, well,
cool. Yeah, let's do that.
We just roll with the flow, man. Like we don't, like I said, we don't."
Oh no, there's no structure here.
There's no structure. No structure. Well, no. the art for Unbound actually it came from a guy here locally who works at one of the tattoo shops here in town. As a matter of fact, he's done a lot of work on Rob. He's the only guy who's done work on me. And like he did my wife's, both of her sleeves. And he's just a really fantastic guy. His name's Bob Pelgen. And he works with a company called Left Rome Tattoos here in Kokomo, Indiana. And we thought this was a great opportunity because we've all like been into his shop and kind of admired his artwork and things like that. And it was a great opportunity to get him involved and with this project. So kind of early on in the process, once the songs were in kind of like a song format, Rob started sending them over to Bob, and he would send over a couple of different iterations of different concepts that he was working with. And we settled on this one. I say settled, but I don't feel like we settled at all. I think this piece of art here really kind of embodies what Unbound is as a piece of art.
We always like to include like that because I think a lot of fans miss out the fact that it takes more than just the people performing to make an album come together. Mm-hmm. Like it's the artwork is like, if you're a metal fan, the artwork is one of the first things you notice. And like you probably bought an album just from the artwork and didn't even know the fucking band probably at some point in your life. I'm sure.
I absolutely have.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
And it's like in what we were talking about earlier on when we were just talking about CDs. I mean, the album cover, whether it's the front cover, the back cover, it's all part of the story. Right. So I mean, it's not just putting something down on a cover of an album or a CD just to have it. It's important. It's not secondary to anything.
Yeah, it's all part of the experience. I mean, if you're just listening to the music, then you're not getting, the entire experience.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's not.
Go back when we talked to Rick from Extinction AD, he was talking about how each song was in the album cover.
Right. Yep.
Remember he was talking about that, and I was just like, oh wow, and I didn't even notice it until he said that. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, I got it. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. But like I said, it's like that's kind of things that are hidden within album covers. So if you don't have that in your hand, then you just kind of.
Well, Bob, whenever we've gone in to get any ink done from Bob, he always talks about hidden penises. So there is probably somewhere in that artwork a hidden. Yeah, there's probably a hidden penis in there somewhere. I haven't really looked for it.
I mean, there's definitely some questionable.
So that's his niche, or that's his niche is hidden dicks.
No, it's just something that happens, I guess.
Oh, okay. Oh, it just happens. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, sure. It just happens.
We're like, oh, you know, Bob down in the hidden dick guy. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I just look for the veiny bits and stay away from those.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
now you be scared getting a tattoo. Hey man, don't put no dick on me.
right. Yeah. 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 I heard this is a thing. Don't do that. Yeah.
It's always the accidental ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So has he done any tattoos for Pre?
I don't think so.
Because I mean that would take a lot of balls to put a hidden dick on a 6'5", 200 and some odd pound dude.
Well, you've seen pictures of my guitar player, right?
Yeah.
And he's got plenty of work from this guy on, so he's probably got a hidden dick somewhere.
You guys are all going to be like, "Fuck, do I got enough shit?"
Look
Look at my back. Is there a dick back there? Is there a dick on my back?
This was totally not the cross promo that I intended to give him.
Yeah, well, leave it to us to pull out crazy ass conversations.
Yeah, for us to focus on the wrong part. Yeah, that's definitely us.
Okay, well,
check out. Man, this artwork's great. There's a penis in it. Oh, hell yeah.
So that's the story of the artwork.
Yeah.
Becomes a Virgil Waldo thing.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, phallic imagery aside, I mean, the artwork really came out well, and that's the funny because I mean, even pulling up, you know, even pulling up everything else, all of the album covers on Spotify, you know, because you have artwork for the singles, and you know the Paradise Lost EP. I'm looking at that. You know, you got that skull in the background with you get the sword in the ground and all that good stuff. So I think, you know, a lot of
you do come across a bit obsessed with fire, don't
we? Well, I mean, yeah, nothing wrong with that. No, you know, it's like Heath Ledger's Joker said, everything burns. You know,
that's right. It does.
So you know, there's a lot to be said for good conflagration. So
I like that.
So it's like
that's a fun word to say too.
That's our word of the day.
Yeah,
we got to like start doing that too. Just put it up on the screen. Word of the day.
Yeah, you got to, and see that's it. You got to tell your guests, you know, what the word of the day is ahead of the interview, and
sneak it.
They have to work it in to one of their responses somehow.
Oh, nice. I like
he's
that.
He's just giving me ideas that we probably don't need to be doing.
That's what I'm here for. You know,
I like it though. It's a good idea. I like it though. I do like that.
Hey, we're gonna play a game with you, have a little fun with it. So
I do like that idea. That's a James Gates trademark right there.
There you go.
I like it. I do like it. If it sticks, if it sticks, you're definitely getting credit. Absolutely getting credit.
We always want to doing something within these interviews that kind of stick with us. You know, even after we move on, you guys go on tour, we're doing something. We'll always remember that. Now I was like, oh, you remember when James had that idea? But
yeah, yep.
That or the hidden dicks will probably
probably
be remembered too. So,
well, interestingly enough, like dicks seem to pop up randomly throughout the process of things in the last several years, but so much so that and Pre can attest to this. The last couple of tour vehicles that we've had, we've nicknamed the Midwest Hell Meat Missile. And I wish I had a picture of it handy, but my daughter works in graphic design. She does work for a sign shop here in town, does all the graphic design. So I had her design us up a graphic for this last time out for the Midwest Hell Meat Missile. And it was this dick with wings.
Nice.
And it was just this gorgeous thing that, we even started an Instagram thing with it. People see us on the road, snap a picture, post it up there and this, that, and the other. I can't tell you how many times we had people, pull up and kind of look over, drop back, pull back up again, and then pass, shaking their heads.
That's
So no, that was fun.
So are any of these pictures on the Instagram? Because I'm on it right now.
I am sure that there is probably a picture of the Midwest Hell Meat Missile.
Okay, hang on a second. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is.
That's it. That's it right there. Yep, that was in the back window of the van.
Yep.
The entire tour. And it all started because on the first run with Doyle, at some point, and I want to say we were in Texas somewhere, so it was really dusty or whatnot, and so you get that kind of that layer of dust on the back of the van. So the tour manager for Doyle at the time came up and just drew this dick on the back of our window, and so we kind of embellished it. We gave it some wings,
sure,
kind of finger drawn in the dust and so we knew that when we went out the second time, we actually had to have a graphic for it. Okay. Oh, Murph drew the first one. Okay, so Murph, who was the drummer for Doyle at the time, drew the first one, and then the tour man. But there ended up being like 5 or 6 different dicks on the back of the van. It was nuts. Everybody was getting a piece of it.
Yeah. So. Well, whether it's dust or of course. James, you're from the north like me. If there's frost or snow on a vehicle, same thing in the frost. So it's kind of like a rule almost.
Well, that's how you identify the band vehicles in the parking lot.
Yeah, we're the one. Yeah, they all have dicks on it, but ours has the wings. That's us. So
yeah. Ours, yeah, it's not just these are flying dicks.
That's right.
Never lose your vehicle in a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely not. It's the one.
Where we park. Oh, I see the dick.
Wherever they won't tow us.
Right. Yeah. That's right. Oh God, that's fucking fun. That needs to be a T-shirt. I'd probably pay $25 for that. I'd probably pay for that.
We may do a limited edition run of Midwest Hell Meat Missile T-shirts. Like, I almost feel like that needs to be kind of like a staff thing, like Pre ought to get one. If we get a different driver or whatnot this time around or whatnot, maybe do that. Just have it be something for the road crew,
Yeah. And the funny thing is like put it on the front and on the back, have it just say staff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If we do that, I'll make sure that you get a staff shirt. That's
knock my cord out. Hang on.
So he didn't hear me that. So he can't hold me to that unless he views this.
Right.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. I kicked my damn headphone cord out. So yeah. Let's see, hour and 57 minutes. I'm gonna go back. I got it. Yeah. I got the timestamp. Whatever it was I missed, I'll go back and listen to it.
All right. I suppose you can hold me to that. Yeah. So after the artwork, you're wanting to hear stories, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, I was actually going to ask you something about being on the road with Doyle, and I was going to see if there's any other bands that bigger known bands that you kind of gotten to be able to share stages with.
Well, there was a stop. I want to say it was El Paso. That may not be right. There was a stop out in West Texas somewhere that I Hate God was actually on tour with Clutch at the same time, and they had an off day, and so they ended up jumping on the show and ended up having the direct slot right before Doyle. So we went on right before them, then they played, and then Doyle played. And it was funny because, I'm standing at the entrance to the bar area when they kind of roll in, and I see these guys kind of rolling up, and obviously, there's a couple of really recognizable faces in that group. And guy walks up to me and nudges me, and he kind of gives me the metalhead nod or whatnot. He says, "Hey man, I'm Jimmy. And I'm like, dude, I know who the fuck you are. But yeah, so it was really cool getting to meet those guys, and they were super cool dudes that they didn't make any kind of fuss about us needing to get our stuff up there for sound check or whatnot, and kind of eating into their time a little bit. They ended up just kind of throwing and going, and they sounded fantastic. But yeah, they were just super chill, really cool guys. And Mike came back after their set and hung out with us for a few minutes in the green room back there, and it was just a really cool experience getting to hang out with those guys.
Pre said it was the night Joe linked up with us in El Paso.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so that was all. I was right.
Yeah, so you had it right. We've talked about Doyle a few times. We haven't talked about the fact yet that your singer is not a small dude either.
Yeah, right.
What do you mean by that? Oh, as far as like he's kind of swole, yeah.
Yeah, so we haven't even mentioned that fact yet. I mean, he's not a little dude.
Yeah, I seen a picture of him on the mic on their page. I said, "Damn."
Yeah.
All right, so Johnny, I want to say is like 5'5", 5'6".
Mm-hmm.
So he's not like a very tall guy.
Yeah.
But when you put that dude on stage, he's 10 feet tall. And he's Godzilla. You can't mess with him.
Well, I mean, he's got that roar of a voice, so that helps. But I mean,
he does. But just like his presence, on stage is just enormous, and it's crazy. I don't really know any other way to describe what it is, but it takes you by surprise, because you'll see him get up there, and he's just like, Johnny really and truly is like the sweetest guy that you will ever meet. Like, he is just 100% genuine, just always has a smile on his face, almost, no matter what the situation, he'll be there with a hug or a high five or hey, how you doing? And he remembers, the people that he talks to way better than just about any of the rest of us, as far as like retaining information.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just like this charismatic fireball of a dude. And when he gets on stage, it's like he flips a switch and he's just like this monster of a man.
Yeah.
And like, I love the dude for that. He's just the many faces of Johnny.
I like that.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah, here's Johnny.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The madman comes out. For sure.
That's what a front man is supposed to be, though. I mean,
he's got to
think about it. I mean, he's got to have a presence there, or people,
I feel like
I think that's that's the real deal when you're talking about front man, because if you don't have a guy, because I've watched bands, like I watched the band Starset. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys, but it was almost like, okay, what's next song? Like it was never a interaction with the crowd, and I just thought that was really weird and strange. I'm just like, man, this is just weird. Like, I like some of their music, but I'm just like, man, this is kind of weird. These just don't have no interaction at all with the crowd. So
if you're going to do something like that, you've got to lean into it. Like, you've really got to lean on it hard. Like Alex, the front man for Doyle, like, before every song, he'll tell you, this is a love song. You can dance if you want to. And like, every song is a love song. You can dance if you want to. Yeah. And there was one night he threw me a curveball, man. He looks at me out of the corner of his eye when he's up there and he's getting ready to throw out the line in front of the song. He goes, yeah, they're all love songs, but not this song. This song's about fucking. So
that was actually, I'm glad he brought that up, because I was actually going to mention that, Chris, whenever he was talking about the Wiener Mobile or whatever, and I said, I hope nobody, none of our friends from Four Barrel Funeral are listening, because I write songs cars. So
that's right.
They be writing on Wiener songs.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was I thought about Four Barrel Funeral when he just mentioned that they say the same thing before every song. because
before every song, this is talking about cars.
yeah, because before every song, they're like, this one's about a car, because like every fucking song is about cars. So they say that before every song. So that's my mind went to the same band, but for different reasons. So
That's
yeah,
great.
Fun.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, I mean, Johnny definitely. I mean, and we haven't even had a chance to, talk to him or see you guys play in person yet. But I mean, even just by how he sounds, and then just what he looks like in just the photos, you can tell he's got an aura without seeing him in person. So
Oh yeah, yeah, and he is so magnetic. Like people just gravitate to Johnny. It's great to watch. But it's I don't. Many years ago, I kind of started laying the foundation of what I thought a frontman was supposed to be, and fortunately, Johnny is all of that. But the great frontmen, if you think about like who the great frontmen in metal or hard rock are, you're talking, the Bruce Dickinsons, the Ozzy Osbournes, the guys who have been doing it for years and are successful. They all have one thing in common. They can make you standing in the audience, whether you're in the front row or you're up in the back, in the balcony or whatnot, you feel like you are part of the show.
mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
Johnny is really, really and truly like the first front man that I've had in a band that really embodies that. Because he, without taking a step off stage, he just goes out into the crowd and grabs you and brings you up there with us, And I think that's part of what makes Johnny really special.
It's an amazing thing. And go ahead, Jason.
I was just saying when you got Sabotage type influences and stuff like that, man, you're automatically setting. I mean, hell, all those bands that you listed were bands that I've seen pretty much, except for Sabotage, but most of those bands I've seen live, and like all those bands are like that. They're of course I'm not a Tool fan, but I feel like James has a personality about him that people can look at it in different ways, but you associate it with the band. You know what I'm saying? Like you associate his dude with Tool because you're just like, okay, well, we already know what to expect. We already know how this jackass is, or however you want to go about it. But I mean, it's his band. He can do what the fuck he wants to. That's the whole beauty of it. If you don't want it, you don't want you on a cell phone and kick you out because you're on a cell phone, then oh well, and I think a lot of bands are getting to where they're kind of getting sick of that too, where I think Randy Blythe just said some shit about, hey man, if I see you on your phone for like 4 or 5 songs straight, I'm just gonna sit on a stool and get on my phone and just like, oh, hey, we're having fun now,
Yeah.
I mean, how would you feel if you were watching the band and they're just on their fucking phone the whole time? Like,
well, I think bands work really hard to, or the good ones do. They work really hard at crafting a stage show or a performance that is an experience. Just like we were talking about with the album, the live show is an experience all in itself, and if you're trying to watch something through the lens of, or looking at your phone and holding it up and watching the concert through your phone, are you really in the moment? Are you experiencing,
right,
what the artist has crafted for you to experience?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some other aspects to it, like the place that we had our release show in Peru, Indiana is kind of the place where historically we've kind of cut new songs out. We'll throw them out, and if they connect with the crowd or whatnot, we keep them, we work them, we develop them. If they don't connect with the crowd, then maybe they don't appear on anything in the future.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But you can't do that anymore, really, because there's going to be someone in the crowd that's filming a show, even at a local level anymore. There's somebody at the crowd filming the whole show, and it'll appear on YouTube,
Right.
And if it happens to be one of those songs that is a miss, because let's face it, not all of them are hits.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
if it is a song that's a miss, then it's on YouTube and you're connected to it.
Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah.
And,
well, I think it's the thing too. Is like, I mean, it's a little bit different with music, but I think the best thing that I've ever heard to counter this was Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle was on one of the night shows, and they were asking him, said, what's the deal with you not having people with phones? He said, well, dude, he said, if I'm doing a show in Brooklyn, and then I'm doing a show 2 nights later in New York City, well, hell, they'll have the videos up on YouTube or somewhere. And he said, would you come and see my show if you already know the material? It's like, why would you come to the show? Mm-hmm. He said, you outlaw phones, so you don't. And he said, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm a good joke writer, but I can't write shit. I can't write a whole new thing in 2 days.
Right. Yeah, and you especially can't do it like every 2 days for 40 days straight.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's a little different than music because you guys, you have a little bit more material that you could like throw in and throw out. And honestly, if I see a song like, we just seen God, my daughter just went and seen Godsmack, and I've never seen them play a couple of songs, Voodoo being one of them, but they actually played Voodoo here when they were here last. And like, I seen it on the set list. I'm like, we were already like doing another show somewhere else, so I couldn't go. I'm just like, the one time I can fucking go, it's like
they're gonna play the song I want to hear.
Yeah. So sometimes if you see the set list or know the set list, you're like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna go check that out. So I mean, it's a little different with music, I think, but still, it's kind of the same concept because you're gonna have that other fan too going, hell, I've seen it. So,
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
If they've seen it, why would they come and watch it? It's kind of it's kind of like well, I've seen Lamb of God like I don't know 8 times or something like that, and I mean, it's been 2 different albums. So I've been on the last 2 tours that they've done. Well, I just went and seen them with Mastodon because they did the whole album, Ashes of Weight. So you don't ever hear the whole album when you go to shows. Right. So like when you get those opportunities to hear those whole albums live, it's pretty amazing. Like me and Chris went and seen the Machine Head when they did. Which one was it they did? When
Burn my eyes.
Yeah,
burn my eyes.
Burn my. So I mean, it's kind of like So it's kind of like you get something special when when they're doing tours like that because they're not going to play that probably for another 10 years if you're lucky. So
right, but you're going into the show knowing that that's that's part of the draw is
right.
They're going to be playing that.
Yeah,
because of course they played another hour with other stuff. But
they did because Machine Head was doing an evening with thing.
Well, I mean, Lamb of God did too. Lamb of God spent another 45 minutes to an hour playing other songs.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
So, I mean, they did Ashes of Weight first, and then they kind of which was just happened to be lucky that they played Laid to Rest first because that's kind of one of their songs that they play first sometimes. So that's something that kind of worked out.
That's pretty. That one's kind of a staple. Yeah. So.
Right.
They're not going to play a show and not play that. That's like
Well, yeah, it just depends on where you hear it. I mean,
absolutely.
That's like going to see Pantera and not hearing Walk. Yeah,
that would be weird. That would be weird. Yeah.
They closed the show with that one. I said,
yeah, for sure.
Well, the bands closed the show. I don't even think you could hear Phil sing. I mean, he was singing, but I don't think you could hear him. The bands were
absolutely.
Yeah, you had like 20,000 people singing.
Oh yeah.
This last time around, I guess the tribute show. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
That's what Zach calls it. I
mean, sure. Yeah. It's a celebration. Yeah,
it is. It really is. And honestly, I hate to say it, but I probably had a better time at this show than I have the other couple of times that I saw Pantera. But a lot of that was I think every other time that I saw them, they were part of a festival package. So you only got like 45 minutes.
I did get to see them a couple times back in the 90s as headliners. So I was fortunate for that.
I think the last time that I saw them prior to this thing was at Ozfest. And don't get me wrong, they were amazing shw, absolutely, or whatnot. But I don't know, there was something. there was something emotional about this one that really kind of resonated with the audience, I think.
Well, I mean, that's totally understandable because I mean, it's, obviously it's not without Vinny and Dime, it's not Pantera, but
Right.
at the same time, who thought you would hear those songs again?
Right.
So that's that. So I didn't get a chance to go this go around, and hopefully this is something that I kind of hope that they'll come around because I think they've announced that they're going to be going over to Europe in 25, and that makes sense. So hopefully they'll come back, and of course, Anthrax has got Anthrax. So I mean, Anthrax has got shit going on. Black Label Society. I saw something today where I mean they're about to drop a single. So I mean, there are other bands that are still out there that have members that need to come back at some point. But I kind of hope that this celebration of Pantera, I hope they come around, and I hope they come to Nashville because I would like to hear the songs again in a live setting, because I think that's what it is the emotion of the people who, and like in Jason's case, Jason never had a chance to go see them the first time. And I'm like, not trying to rub it in at all, but I mean, it's just, things happened and he wasn't able to do that. So he got to go this go around, and I could understand wholeheartedly why it would be an emotional experience, because without this happening, those songs don't get played in a live setting anymore.
Right.
And it feels like, when Vinny and Dime died, it's one of those things. It's like, well, now, because I mean, when a member dies, when a band breaks up, it's one thing. Will they, won't they? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. When a member dies, I mean, that's obviously death is final, obviously, So when the heart and soul, arguably, of those two members were the heart and soul of the band, those two guys were gone, and you're like, okay, well, that's it for Pantera. And then when this thing was announced, it's like, with the two, they got Charlie and Zach. It's like, I don't think you could have gotten two guys who could have done any better because of who they are as musicians and who they were to the band. Because Zach and Charlie were friends already. So I don't think they could have picked two better guys to help, and that's what they were. I didn't wear this Pantera shirt on purpose. I didn't know I was going to do this, but when they announced the whole thing, they said for the legacy and for the fans, and I think that was wholeheartedly. I think that's where their heart was, for people who didn't get a chance to, whether it was for whatever reason back when they were around, or people who are too young, who didn't get a chance because they weren't around. It's like, okay, fine. Now you're going to get to experience what some of us got to experience. You're going to get to know how it feels to hear these songs. So
you get a glimpse of why they're so important.
Right. And I always hated when they first come out. People were talking about, it's a money grab. It's a money grab. I mean, you do realize, Phil's got down. He has other projects. I mean, Charlie's in Anthrax. Zach's doing other stuff, but they didn't have to do this. Like,
Rex is Rex. They've all got things they're doing.
Phil reached out to the wife and things of Dom and everything, and she was good with it, and Vinny's family was good with it. So he's like, I feel like we need to let this new generation hear some live Pantera. So.
Well, I'll tell you, and I'll let you and your listeners in on a little industry secret. If there's a band on tour, they're trying to make money.
Well, yeah, no doubt.
To be honest with you, because that's really the only avenue that's left to us.
Yeah.
But I think when people say money grab, it's like they say it, oh, well, they have to do this to make any money. Well, no, not necessarily. I mean,
it's not like Rex had any shortage of projects, or Phil.
Right. And part of that money is going to the estates too. So I mean, it's not like they're not giving their dues too. So
for sure.
And the funny thing is other projects aside, Phil and Rex are going to have Pantera money coming in for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is a relatively new Pantera shirt. They got a they got part of the money I paid for this shirt. So I mean,
Sure.
you know, they're going to have Pantera money. So it's not like they had to bring Pantera back because they didn't have any more Pantera money. So that's ridiculous. And it's just
You know, if people complaining about, well, Pantera died with Vinny and Dime. Well, I mean, did it though? Because without Phil and Rex, would we even know who Pantera was right now? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, because they changed the whole sound of what Pantera was. So,
Well,
Phil definitely brought them out of the glam metal Pantera into the, Pantera that made it, because I mean, let's face it, glam metal Pantera, they weren't, at the forefront of the glam metal, hair metal movement. It wasn't until Cowboys from Hell came out. It was like, okay, all right, Pantera made it. That's when Pantera made it. They were 5 albums in already. And Phil was actually the lead singer on that 5th one. Some people may or may not know that. Phil didn't just show up from Cowboys from Hell and they caught lightning in a bottle and they took off. So
no, they definitely paid the dues coming up for sure.
They absolutely did.
But I think that's one of the things about being a musician that you think about kind of sporadically throughout the process of your journey as a musician, but really, we're in a unique position as artists to create something that can outlive us.
Mm-hmm.
If enough people connect with it, if enough people, if it means something to enough people, then I mean, you live forever, or at least for a few generations.
How do you feel about where you're at right now with that?
To be honest with you, like for me, at the end of the day, the only people that I feel like I need to have me live on at all would be my children, and my family. I think it's really cool that, whenever that day happens that I pass on, they'll be able to, pull up my music and listen to it and,
see your face on the video,
tangibly connect rather than, going to visit me at some like gravesite or something.
Yeah. But is it, I mean, having said that, is it still cool to know that, because I mean, the internet at this point is forever. Is it still cool to know that like 100 years down the road, someone is going to potentially stumble across a music video that you're in?
That would be amazing. I think that would be, cool as hell,
Yeah.
People that I don't have any hope of ever meeting, I can still connect with.
Yeah. Because that thought actually crosses, because I never thought about anything like that until we started this. I mean, this shit's the shit's up there now.
But now you got me wanting to fuck with people. Hope you know that. Now I want to put Salem's Child videos on like a USB drive or whatever. Put it in like a little capsule,
time capsule,
and put Salem's Child on it. And put Salem's Child on like a medicine bottle or something and bury it. So if somebody digs it up,
if you do that, like you've got to like put some kind of label on it that says that we were like the biggest band in the world. And that way, when they find it 200 years down the road or whatnot, they'll be like, oh, well, this was Salem. They were the biggest band in the world. Everybody must. It's kind of like,
I mean, nobody would be allowed to like argue the fact. I mean, so.
Well, I mean, how could they? They weren't there.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It'd be.
I mean, that's how. I mean, hey, not to get political, but that's how Al Gore made money talking about climate change. So, I mean,
well, you
weren't there 300 years ago when we went through the same shit. So,
right.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of. But I mean, if you look at it, you see Salem's Child, they're like, oh, why is that like that? Sounds like a dead cat or something.
and so that brings us full circle to the origins of the band, right?
It does. Yeah, it did. It came all the way back around.
That's great.
So we do have the question of the night. It's a very like crazy or memorable. It ain't gotta be crazy. It could be anything memorable that kind of sticks with you as far as like at shows that kind of happened to you guys?
Oh wow. So we had it wasn't with this band, but it was with a band that I was in several years back. I was playing this show, and we were in this little dive bar in Fort Wayne, and we had this song, and like the chorus of the song was "Fuck your heroes, 3 cheers for the villains, foes, and fiends." and I don't remember exactly what it was that our singer at the time was saying before we launched into the song, but somebody in the audience it really resonated with, and they came right up to the stage and they wanted to get in his face about it. But we've already launched into the song, so there's no stopping it. And so he's like right up there in the singer's face, and they're nose to nose pretty much, and the singer's just singing the song, and we get to the chorus, right? And all of a sudden, he's just like finger right up in the dude's face, like finger to nose. He just goes right up. And I'm watching all of this happen kind of almost in slow motion. But I see the guy in the audience kind of draw back like he's going to, bring the haymaker. And all of a sudden, it was just like the scene out of the Matrix. He just flew backwards. Like 3 guys had come all the way from clear on the other end of the bar, all the way around the bar while this was happening. As soon as he drew back, they just grabbed him. But all I could see was him with his legs straight out in front of him, going back. And they just took him straight out of the bar, straight out the door. And it would have been great had he not snapped my bass cable when they were dragging him out. His foot was hooked on the back of it. So when they snagged him and dragged him out, so that was kind of interesting. The bass kind of died at that point. But man, I will never, ever, ever forget that night that we almost got in a brawl with somebody in the audience on stage. It was crazy.
Well, now you got a 6'5", merch guy that probably won't ever happen. So.
Well, yeah, and Rob and Scott are pretty big guys too, and of course, like you mentioned, Johnny's built like a tank, so nobody fucks with us. I can be the fat kid in the back of the face.
People just looking at the band going, "Yeah, we're not fucking charging this." It's like I'm in a. They probably like, man, it's like I'm in a 8-man tag with WWE right now or something like.
I tell you, I am really lucky to be in a band with the guys that I'm in a band with, because I would not choose anybody else to have my back in a dark alleyway.
Well, see, that's good.
Rob and Pre are both ex-COs too, so
there you go.
They're not going to get messed with at all.
Hell no.
They know how to handle everything. Then. Them guys taunt and everything in there. So.
They have a special set of skills.
I
don't.
Hell yeah, they do.
I will say that I do not have the temperament for her. So.
Yeah.
I will be the first guy getting fired, because if I get taunted by some of the stuff, because I got a buddy of mine that I used to wrestle with. He's actually a CO too, and he used to tell me some stories in the locker room. Like, dude, how? Like, I would be fired because I would whip that dude's ass. How?
Right.
I
mean, I guess from talking to those guys, you just got to kind of keep in the mindset, in the front of your mind that it's your job to protect those guys.
Right. True.
You're not just there to keep in mind, but it's your job to protect them. So you got.
I don't know, man. One of them spit on me, man. I think I'd have to go. But it's like,
dude, I know, man. It would be hard to suppress that urge, I would think. Yeah.
I mean, that part, because that's what he was saying. He's like, "Oh yeah, dude spit on me today." I'm like, what? And like, you're calm about it? Oh, fuck that, dude. Like, you don't spit on me. We're going. I don't give a shit. Like, that's just something that I can't deal with that. Like, talking about wrestling, I did professional wrestling for like 18 years, so I even had like some instances like that where people like tried to even spat at me, and I'm like, let me tell you, I went to the front row, like, maybe I can tell you something. This shit hits me, I'm gonna whoop your ass. I ain't fucking playing. Like, and they'd be like, oh, yeah, sorry. I'm just like, I don't give a shit, dude.
Yeah, you'll find out how real this feels.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, be like
Yeah,
I'm ready to be like I'm ready to rumble. That feel fake?
There you
Yeah,
go.
well, I mean, we've seen videos from what happens when people say that word and to a wrestler at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
David Schultz comes to mind when you smack the shit out of that dude. He's like, I feel fake.
It's
There
yeah,
you
it's,
go.
yeah. It's just no. It's just not true. It's not the right word.
No. I think Jericho probably explains that aspect of wrestling better than anybody. So
Yeah.
You've been doing it long enough.
Well, I mean, you're putting on a show, but it's one of the most physical shows that you could possibly imagine putting on, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Well, I just seen a recent interview with him. Of course, since he's actually the lead singer for Fozzy, so we can kind of relate that to music, I guess.
Sure, yeah, it ties in.
But they were talking about asking him, when do you feel like you're going to hang up wrestling? He's like, I said, I never think about it. I just go out and do it. He said, now I'm, 50 some odd years old now, and I'm only doing 30 dates a year. Whereas if I was in WWE, I would still be doing 200 plus. So that's a big difference.
That is
He said, there's no way I could do the 200 plus dates anymore. It's just not happening. So, as long as AEW is around, then he's probably just going to do the 30 dates and make money, which
as long as you can put a few weeks in between, to get your body recovered and things like that, I'm sure.
Right. With your aging, I mean, that takes that's one of the reasons I had to walk away is because I wasn't recouping, like I was when I was, in my 20s and 30s, because of course you're getting older and you stay sore a lot longer. So,
Yeah.
I don't see how a lot of those guys, they're still doing it way past my, I think one of the guys that come to mind to me is R-Truth. I mean, this dude's like in his late 50s. So I mean, so I mean, he doesn't look it, but he is, and he's still doing some of the stuff that he was doing when he was 20s and 30s. So it's just wild to see. He's like, man, I don't know how they do that shit, man.
Hell, Sting just retired. He's 65.
Yeah, so I was dying at 42, so I was just like, man, fuck this.
At some point, you just want to stop working every morning.
Well, I mean, it's like I always said, somebody asked me at one point, when I was, getting in my latter years, and they were just like, when do you think you'll quit? I said, when my body tells me to. I mean, I think that's how you have to look at it. When your body says, hey, this is enough, then this is enough. I had a goal to do 20 years, and I did 18. So I was happy with that. I was like, dude, and I was like, man, do you want to keep going? I could have kept going. I mean, I just did a benefit show a couple months ago, so it's not like I can't do it anymore. I don't have the desire to try to injure myself and put me in a bad spot when I'm in my late 40s. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, you have to look, and I want to be able to and that's one of the things I thought about. So, okay, do I still want to keep wrestling, or do I want to be able to pick up my grandkids at one point? Because I didn't have any grandkids at that time. I do now, but at that time I was like, sometimes I'm gonna have grandkids. I want to be able to pick them up because I'm gonna be so fucked up, as far as back, neck, and everything be all stiff and shit. Can't walk. Some of the guys I see now that come in and just like, man, I'm glad I quit when I did, because they're like all bent over and barely walking with canes, and they're not much older than me. So I'm just like, man, you're like probably 55 and you're walking with a cane, dude. That's not good,
Yeah, and at that point, it doesn't get any better.
No, it's there. Yeah, it's there.
But yeah, and I kind of talk about playing music the same way. I'll do this until I can't, or until like I've got carpal tunnel and arthritis in both hands or whatnot, so I'm gonna keep doing it until my hands just can't.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I don't know if you've had any surgical procedures, but I mean, some of that can be, corrected for a little lengthier time too. So
I have attempted to avoid surgery as much as possible on the hands, like anything with the hands. Just try to avoid it as possible.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories, but I went to get it fixed and now I can't hold anything. So I mean, I've heard horror stories. So
I mean, things are a lot better now than they were, 10, 15 years ago too.
Well, that's true, but
I've seen people do it, and then 10 weeks later they're back at work typing. I'm just like, man,
yeah,
that's true.
It's going to depend.
For sure.
That is true.
Ice and
Ice and
whiskey.
whiskey is your friend. Absolutely. This man knows what he's talking about when it comes to ice and whiskey.
He changed his profile. Look at that.
Man,
He did, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Shine himself up a little bit for you guys.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, let me get a little light on this. Can't see all my beauty.
He definitely doesn't look any less intimidating in that new picture. That's for sure.
No.
It's like, oh, he looks a lot cuddlier in this picture. No, that didn't happen.
Yeah, but like he is just a people magnet, though, man. It's crazy. It's just awesome how somebody
I think that's like with anywhere. It's like, with I think that's with like people that played Tyler Bane. He played Michael Myers at one point. And he was playing Beast in the X-Men and stuff like that. So he's a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like I see people just like, if you go to like a Comic-Con or something with him people just gravitate. They just like, half people don't even know who he is. It's just like, oh, I don't even know who that guy is. I said, damn, you don't even know who he is, and you're over here like this. Oh, you just look cool. I'm like,
yeah. I feel safer in his presence. Like nobody's.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty wild how people do that though. Once you said that, I kind of thought about some of the instances where that's kind of like kind of makes sense because people like that, and Kane Hodder and all those guys that are big guys. And
well, I mean, you don't see people that big every day, so I mean,
Well, that's true too. I have, but
yeah.
And sometimes not in the way I wanted to see them, but
well, I mean.
6'7" guy, 350 pounds, grab a hold. I mean, I'm not a little guy. I was probably 250 at that point. So it's
getting ragdolled, yeah,
just getting ragdolled, dude. I'm just like, this is I'm like, you don't even have to worry about taking anything or making it look real. They're gonna toss your ass. It's gonna be real. So
it'll be real enough.
Yeah, just like every time I was like in the air, it was like, I hope I stay in the ring. I hope I stay in the ring.
One of these ropes better catch me.
Toss you in the front row or something.
Jesus,
and that would be the worst to unintentionally land in the front row. I've almost done it though. I've almost done it. Come off the stage and landed on somebody.
Simple as
we're not that kind of band. I know that there's bands out there. What's that? That's simple as just talking to people selling merch. Yeah. Yeah, and he's absolutely right. He would talk up everybody that would come by the merch booth. Like if you were in his vicinity and didn't get a word in with him or whatnot, then you missed out because dude is truly a treasure. She really is.
My wife always said I missed my calling. Because she's like, oh, you should have been a lawyer or something because you can just sit here and like talk to people and argue with them too. And it's like, and you do it, and she gets mad because you're like, you do it in such a way it's like nobody ever gets mad. She said, I don't understand that. Like you're arguing with them, and they're just like, yeah, I can see that. I was like, well, it's just how you present yourself in your vocal tone. I mean, you can't go out there and give it like a tone like they're a dumbass. You know what I mean? It's like you got to give them a tone to be like, your opinion counts, but listen to this.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Try this. Yeah, absolutely. T-shirt sales.
They play some of the devil's music.
So I'm very kind of, I was like wondering whenever I was going to be able to talk about this, but I was going to tell you about it later, but I actually had a conversation like that recently about the podcast, and somebody had messaged me about it, and I was talking to them, and they said, and they're real Christians. Like I went to church with these people, and they're just like, I don't understand how you got drawn up in all that Satan stuff. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? It's like, she's like, all that metal music is just Satan stuff. I'm like,
just shows how uninformed you are.
Where did you get that? I said, let me ask you something. She goes, oh, they got like cults and everything else. I said, I mean, I know the Cult. That's a good band, but that's not what they do. I mean, she's still sanctuary, so I mean,
Yeah, I mean they've
but,
they've got songs to make good covers from. So yeah,
So
but
many. Like,
the point I was making with him was, I said, let me ask you something. I said, have you ever been on the news and read about a heavy metal cult like making people drink Kool-Aid and killing themselves? I don't think so, dude. So I mean, you can take that stuff and go somewhere else, because I guarantee there's more religious cults than there are heavy metal cults.
There are.
oh yeah.
There are.
So, but I just hate people being small-minded about music in general, because I mean, it's, to me, it's like, if you're so caught up in, like I said, I am religious to an extent. So I've come to the point where, if it's something that's bringing people together into a brotherhood or sisterhood or anything like that, then it can't be a bad thing. I mean, it can't. Like,
Yeah.
you're bringing people together with a common goal, with they have common interest. And that's just, and if you're going to say that, then 70,000 people that go watch football games are all a cult.
I mean, if those are the metrics that you're using, yeah. And here's the funny thing: is all country music satanic just because Charlie Daniels sang "The Devil Went Down to Georgia"?
Well, I mean,
because that's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Well, yeah.
Or what about? So I had to.
What about blues or the early rock and roll or whatnot? You hear the story. It was the big legend amongst the great blues guys or whatnot. You go down to the crossroads and sell your soul and go make a hit record.
Yep. Yeah.
And
and that carried on for a long time, because even Stevie Ray Vaughan had the album Crossroads. So I mean, it was linked deep into the history of blues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course, that's the thing. Is I mean, a lot of you got the black metal scene in Norway, and stuff like that. So I mean, we've never sat here on this show and ever tried to deny the fact that there are bands out there who are satanic.
Well, yeah,
of course there are, but that's always everybody's go-to thing. You like heavy metal? Oh, you must do this and you must do that. It was like, well, why is that always where you go? Why is that always where people go to?
You can't group them all together.
I think it's kind of like the Tom Araya thing. I mean, the guy's a devout Catholic out there every night singing songs about Satan. We're gonna go out next year with some guys that, by all accounts, are some of the sweetest guys in the world or whatnot, and they sing their balls off about Satan every night, and I don't know, it's just one of those things that, just because it's something that you're singing about doesn't mean that it's something that you're actually out there doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guys in Doyle, they've got songs about, having sex with corpses or whatnot, but I guarantee you not one of them's fucked a dead person.
Start doing that, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Best community out there. Absolutely, Pre. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wholeheartely agree.
Well, guys,
right.
4 words.
I
was actually going to tell you we're going to probably wrap up. I just want to see if you had any your socials you want to throw out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, everything is tied into www.salemschilde.com. You can find all of our links there at the top of that webpage. You can find links to our merch store or whatnot. And I will make sure that when this gets, I guess, published or whatnot, after it's done there on Facebook or whatnot, I'll give you guys a link with all the streaming sites that you guys can get Unbound at, and we'll make sure
it'll be up. YouTube, Twitch will only be for 7 days or 14 days. I think they only hold them for 14 days. But Facebook and YouTube, it'll be there for as long as I can.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely not going anywhere. Anybody who didn't get a chance to watch it live with us right now, they can definitely go to YouTube and check it out there.
Awesome, very cool. And as a matter of fact, as soon as we're done here or whatnot, do we end up going back to that backstage thing or whatnot once this is done recording?
Well, whenever you're ready to leave, just go ahead and and
Well,
take
what
off
I was
the
going to say is I'll send you guys that link, and you guys can include it with whatever you guys are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll put it. Yeah,
Add that
You
to
can put it in the private chat if you want to. Yeah.
yeah,
absolutely.
that'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead
Yeah.
and I will do that now.
Yeah, and then once we get it uploaded to Spotify and Rumble, we'll send it in the email thread, and you can share it anywhere and everywhere. So
Outstanding.
Yep.
Guys, I really, really appreciate the opportunity to come on here and talk with you guys. I hope we get to do this again sometime for sure.
Oh, hey,
Yeah, hopefully we
open
with the rest of the guys.
invitation.
Yeah, I tried to get them out here tonight, but you guys are what, like 11 o'clock our time out here. So
Yeah. So it's a little.
Yeah,
So,
the northern
so
part.
much for rock bands partying all night, right? So.
Yeah, the northern part of Indiana is a little strange because I know, because being from Michigan, so right. I used to go to Indiana, like at the beginning of the camping season. I don't know if you know where Orland, Indiana is, but there was a KOA campground that I don't know if it's still there or not. But at the beginning of every season, they used to have the very first weekend of the camping season. They used to let everybody come to the campground and camp for free, and they would have like a pancake breakfast one day, and everybody came to the park to clean up the park and get it ready for the season. And I know that part of the state, like some part of the state, like does daylight savings time and another part of it doesn't. And it's kind of like a weird little cutoff line. So,
well, we've rejoined the rest of the country. We're all doing daylight savings time.
Are you? Okay.
The trick is that there's some parts of Indiana that are on Central Time and some parts that are on Eastern Time.
Okay, so that has changed a little bit since I was a kid then. Okay, because I remember there used to be some parts of the very, very small part of Indiana that wasn't on daylight savings time at all. So, all right, so that has changed a little bit.
Yeah, I used to live in that sliver of Indiana. We never changed our clocks, so it wasn't until I was probably in my mid-20s, early 30s maybe, before I started changing the clock every spring.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy living in It'd be crazy living in the neighborhood that's like on the line and be like, you need to be back at 8. Is that 8 my time or 8 my friend Billy's time? That's over across the street.
I always kind of wondered how that would work, but I've never lived close enough to a date line.
That would be wild.
That would be weird if your neighborhood was like right on the border. They'd be like, just bring your ass home. You'd be like
living on the equator or something.
Of course, then you would just
come on.
Exactly. I was just about to say, you would just get the street light thing. Just be home when the goddamn street lights come on. Yeah, because it's 12:52 down here right now. So
it's almost 2 o'clock here. So yeah,
right,
fun stuff.
Hey James, we definitely appreciate it, man. It's been an honor and a privilege to talk to you and learn a little bit more about Little Child. So
it's been a lot of fun. Definitely want to thank you guys for the review. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. It's been a while, but I definitely want to thank you guys for the review. That was an amazing review. There was no mention of the bass player, so I took that as a positive. But I did make a note to myself that I was gonna give you a little bit of ribbing about that, but no, I mean really.
I did say there was like parts of like where because I did feel like there were parts of like the album where every instrument had its shining moment, though. Because you hardly ever hear a song or a whole album where you could, pick out parts of an instrument in each song. And the bass is, bass especially, because bass is hard to catch sometimes unless you're Billy Sheehan. But I mean, a bass is hard to catch sometimes. So it's like really, and I really did, enjoy catching like, oh, that's crazy. Like I hear more bass there or more drums there, or, it was really, I found myself finding something different, I think, in everything that you guys were doing on each song. I kept finding stuff different.
I'm glad. And I really hope that on subsequent listens, you'll find different stuff in those parts, as well. Cause there's there's a lot of layering that went into this album that I think really makes it almost symphonic in parts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, James, thanks again, man. Hope you have a great morning, I guess now. So
Yeah, great morning.
I'll get a couple hours of sleep, wake up, take a shower, and go shoot a music video. How about that?
Hey, there
you go. That's a great day. So.
Indeed. Well, you guys take care. Thanks again, and,
Yes,
and definitely let us know if we can come back anytime.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, man. It's an open door, man. If you guys got something you want to share, or whatever, want to come on, just hit us up. You got our emails.
Hell yeah. We will make room on the schedule. Absolutely.
Awesome, guys.
It won't be the first time we've done that. So
very cool. Very cool.
All right, James. We appreciate you, man.
Thanks again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Take care.
James Gates, bassist for Salem's Child.
The beast of bass for Salem's Child. Love that.
Definitely appreciate him for coming on and sharing some history and stories.
Yeah,
and
a lot of great information. A lot of great information.
And thanks to Amy, and I think Dana was listening a little. He didn't comment, but I think
he was in here for a minute, and then obviously, thanks to Pre for hanging out and commenting and all that stuff, and thanks to Midwest Metal Chicks for coming by. So probably have to have
some new faces in the chat.
Yeah, I think we'll probably definitely have to give the Midwest Metal Chicks a follow. Hopefully they'll reciprocate, and maybe Pre will join us. Maybe Pre will subscribe to us on YouTube. I know James already has. I saw James had already subscribed to us before the show started, so that's very cool. So yeah, but it was nice to see some fans in the chat as always. We appreciate that.
That's always great to see like that's some diehard fans. Man.
Yeah, they do have they do have quite the following. I don't know how big Kokomo is. I don't think it's like super big, but I mean,
I know it's not the one that Beach Boys sung about.
No, it's not. But I do, just from what I've seen on the band's social media. I mean, they have a following up there in that area, and it's cool because they're active. Their fan base is active too, which is cool.
All right. Hopefully you guys have that did watch could catch some of the news following along down there in the ticker there. We kind of shared some of the news, the major news stories anyway.
Yeah. That's a cool idea that you did down there, doing the little news.
Just like, is there a way to get the news out more than what we just do? Because a lot of the people that watch us here are not on our socials, and that's fine. We're not going to beg you to do things you don't want to do. That's
sure, absolutely not.
But that way, if you want to watch the show, you can catch some of the bigger news, stories that come up. So we try to put them at the bottom during the interviews. So
yep,
so we're not able to talk about it. So they're there.
Yep.
I think the biggest one would be the Linkin Park's new singer. There's a lot of mixed emotions about, but
yeah.
I guess you have to wait and see what the music sounds like, man. That's all you can do.
I haven't heard.
We both kind of shared sentiments about Linkin Park after Meteora. We kind of like,
yeah. I'm kind of ambivalent at this point. I mean, I know they dropped a new single. I haven't heard it yet. Even like Kayla this afternoon before she left work, she's like, "You heard the new Linkin Park yet?" I went, "No." She goes, "You're gonna listen to it?" I went, "I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to or not." But
you have to think about it.
So maybe. But
and of course, the Wasp has still got the touring drama going on. So.
Yeah, that's weird.
They dropped onto others, and others said that it was just kind of a vague drop. They didn't really.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one.
Weird, yeah. It was really weird.
Yeah, that's an odd one. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on there. That might be something that's gonna have to need a follow up. See if there's anything more that develops with that. So because that's a strange one.
It's that.
So I don't. So
I
I
guess
don't know.
the bassist and co-founder of Vitriol, Adam Roethlisberger, quit mid-tour. That's what got me. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
just walk away in the middle of tours.
Yeah, right. I mean, at least give your bandmates a little bit of a heads up. Be like, hey, man, this is my last tour. You know, when we get home, I'm done. I mean, unless there's like a family emergency or something like that. I mean,
Yeah, or animosity. And just keep on just say fuck off and I'm done.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I didn't read too far into it. I was just kind of skimmed through it, I guess. So.
Yeah.
I think another thing that kind of caught my eye, but the other thing that kind of caught my eye was the American Nightmare Band trying to sue WWE and Cody Rhodes for the usage of the name, which kind of so to me, the timing on this is just kind of fucked up. It's like, Cody Rhodes has been back with WWE for 2 years. He wrestled in
AEW
under the same moniker as far as I can remember.
Well, here's the funny thing about that is all that Cody and WWE are going to have to do is they're going to have to go to court. Of course, they probably won't go to court, but all they'll have to do is they'll have to pull out the paperwork where Dustin gave Cody permission to use it, because Dustin was using it way back in the day. Dustin.
That is true. That is true. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Dustin was the American Nightmare way before Cody was, and I guarantee he was the American Nightmare before that band even came about. So this lawsuit's going to go nowhere.
Well, I mean, the band has, they bought rights to that name, though. So I mean, that's where you kind of going to come into some realities. But I mean, WWE being WWE, they will probably come out say, okay, that's fine. We'll just change the C to a K in American, and you can fuck off.
Or maybe they'll just throw like $1 million at him and be like, shut up and go away. So
I mean, that's true too. Yeah, because I mean, Cody's making more money for them.
Yeah, because that's the funny thing. I had no idea there was an American Nightmare band before this even came about. So that's probably part of the same thing. Is like, hey, people who don't know about us, who are wrestling fans, maybe they'll know about us. So that's probably part of it too, because I had no idea.
That's that. I mean, to me, I would have like piggybacked with WWE. Say, hey man, we can cut a deal here. We can go to court. We can cut a deal. Put our song. We pay you pay us to put our songs on wrestling games, and you can pay us to do pay-per-view.
I was about to say, let
and then you get exposure for your band. So.
Yeah, let one of theirs. I don't even know if they have a hit single, or I don't know if they do or not. But I have no idea. But like, yeah, let us have one of our songs be like the theme song for whatever pay-per-view's coming up next. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really see this going anywhere. I could be wrong.
Anyway,
I could be wrong, but I don't see it.
I know my co-partner over here has been up probably since 4 or 5 in the morning, so he's probably running on 24 hours close to it. So. Was you off this week?
I've been off this week. Yeah, I took some PTO this week, but the damn dog got me up early. So I mean, I've been awake since 5. Yeah, so yeah, so I'm. It's basically a regular day for me.
Right. So if you see the ticker now, it is for our radio station playing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week over at stream.trulyradio247.com/8008/stream. And I did post 2 new playlists up there last 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago now. I don't know. I put it up there this week. So there is newer stuff going up there all the time. So.
Yeah, and
I'm trying to stay on top of it at least once a week. So
yeah. And speaking of playlists, our theme of the week from last week, our do's and don'ts playlist, is on Spotify now. So follow us. Go check that out there. Go check out Jason's new release weekly playlist. That's over there. Funny thing is I don't know what took me so long to do this, but I was goofing around on Spotify earlier today, and I noticed that because I started I basically started the Spotify account that we have, but I had it under my name. So I officially changed it to the Metalheads Unite podcast. I changed the name of it from my name to the Metalheads Unite podcast. So I don't know what took me so long to do that, but I was like, you know what? I need to change this. That way, if people are searching for Metalheads Unite, they can search for that and they won't be looking for my name. They'll just be looking for the podcast show. So now if you search for the theme of the week playlist or anything like that, just search Metalheads Unite and it should make it easier to find. But follow us over there on Spotify, follow us on Twitch, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, our Facebook page, our Facebook group, which is private, but send us a message. We'll get you guys hooked up with that. Let's see. And our YouTube channel. Follow us over there. Give us subscribe to us and follow us there. And metalheadsuniteusa@gmail.com is our email address.
And make sure you check us out on Spotify, where the interviews are going up there. We just posted the Never Obey Again video up there this week, so we're a little behind with that because it's usually the following week when the interviews go up. Yeah. So probably next week it's going to go up. So.
Right. Yeah. And the Never Obey Again is also on Rumble, which I think I've neglected to mention. But yeah, it's on Rumble also. So
yeah, I usually do both of those at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's easier to do, and then I don't forget about it. So
right.
All right, guys. I appreciate you guys stopping in and joining us for the special interview there. So thanks to everybody in the chats. We appreciate the comment in there. Always love the interaction. And as far as we know, we'll be back next week with our regularly scheduled programming.
Right.
Unless something changes in the first of the week, we'll see.
That's right.
We never say never. So.
Yeah, and we're definitely not gonna turn down anybody accepting an invitation for this Friday on short notice. I mean, we'll have a show. The time slot's there. If somebody wants to come on at 10 o'clock on Friday, we'll be available. So.
And I forgot to mention to James, he brought up the veteran suicide awareness and all that stuff, which I have a special guest already lined up for the weekend of the Veterans Day. So he's actually big into that too. So I'm not going to spill much into it now, just because things could change between now and November. So, but as far as we know, we have it lined up for that weekend in November. So that should be interesting, just to have that kind of interaction with intertwined with metal veterans suicide, because he uses his music as a tool for that.
So it's definitely a good cause. Yeah.
All right, guys. That being said, we will wrap this up. Hopefully, we will see you back here next week. Until then, keep those horns held high. Up in that pit anytime you can.
Have a great week, guys. Thank you.